Good evening. I'm going to reconvene the special annual budget meeting for the RTM. Today is Wednesday, May 5th, and it is 7:04. No, I'm sorry, it's Wednesday, May 4th.
Yes.
And it is 7:04 p.m. So the first item on our agenda tonight is
Roll call.
roll call. Thank you.
Just to see who has reconvened. Representative Adams? Here. Bailey?
Here.
Burrell?
Here.
Bright?
Here.
Casper? Casper? Oh, there you are. I see you. Surf is not supposed to be.
Here.
Yeah, I saw you. Thank you. Chase?
Here.
Cop?
Here.
Crockett Hubbard? Dean Shinbrot? Eben?
Here.
Frickman? Got two Frickies, but no Frickman. Okay.
He said he'd be late.
Fritchie?
Here.
Gardner?
Here.
Gothier?
She was online.
I do. Guinapiero? I see you. Guinapiero? You're muted.
said here.
Yep, okay. Gustafson?
Here.
Hainline? Hanscom?
Here.
Ivy?
Here.
Jacome?
Here.
Massett?
Here.
Merritt?
Here.
Norman?
Here.
Aubry?
Here.
Powers Kristen?
She's not with
Okay.
us at the moment.
Powers Sean?
Here.
Pacino?
Here.
Ray?
Here.
Scott? Cimarrero?
Here.
Thomas?
Here.
V.C. Williams?
Here.
Watson?
Here.
Weaver? Wells? White?
Here.
Whitney?
Here.
And Rusk. We have 30.
Here.
We have 30 at call. And just pay attention when somebody walks in. Make sure I have my glasses. There they are.
Again, if you leave the meeting, especially those of you who are on Zoom, if you could let us know that you're leaving in the comments.
Can you come here?
So that we have a record of when you left. And if you are leaving from the room, if you could kind of wave at us to say, I'm going, just to make sure we always have a sense, or what's the word I'm looking, an account. Okay, so the first thing we're talking about tonight is account number 1003, voter registration. It is found on page 54 of your book.
Account number 1003, voter registration on page 54. Manager Kristen Vendetti.
Can I ask you to get the microphone much closer to your face?
Okay, is this better?
Speak clearly and softly.
Sean, can you hear it or is it not on?
Okay. It's got something to do with that little thing.
I know. That's much better. Thank you. Count number 1003, voter registration on page 54. Manager Kristen Vendetti was with us. A motion was made by Representative Chase for $213,435. It was seconded by Representative Jacome. Manager Vendetti explained certain cost centers which are associated with the election procedure. The types of elections in which we have federal, state, and local years which impact those costs, the staffing needs of each polling center, and the adjustments to the budget accordingly. voter registration for military personnel and same-day registrations and absentee ballots were areas of discussion. Redistricting and postage were also items discussed. Compensation for the registrars and pay increases were also discussed. They can only increase once every 4 years. The pay level is at $15 an hour at the moment, and before they were just a little bit over $12 an hour. The location of registrar's office has been moved, and the office is in the old Groton Middle School at the front entrance. Chairman Powers called for a vote. 6 in favor, 0 opposed, 0 abstained. The motion passed. So moved. $213,435. So moved. Do I have a second?
Second, Chase. Norman.
Chase.
213,
435.
435.
Chase, Norman.
Any discussion?
Chase.
The second was Norman?
Chase.
Chase, thank you.
Chase and Norman.
Yeah. Representative Adams. I'm going to actually interject one quick second. There was just a comment made to me that the people on Zoom hear basically everything that is said and scuttled around the microphone. So if you are near a microphone, if you can just try very hard not to make side comments and things like that, because it goes directly to Zoom. Thank you. Okay, sorry, Representative Adams.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. A question that I'd like to direct to Ms. Vendetti. Why is the increase approximately $78,000 from last year?
Okay, so first of all, last year we only budgeted for one election. This year we're budgeting for 2 elections. One's the primary and one's the November election. We only had budgeted for the November election even though we had a primary. That's why we had a fourth quarter transfer request in that you guys will see later on, I guess. So as far as that goes, the other thing is that with the redistricting that just happened through the state, we are required to notify everyone about the changes in the redistricting, and some people, just so you have a little bit of background, some people that were in District 3 moved to District 2. Some people that were in District 4 District 1, moved to District 4. So we need to notify everybody, and that alone, just the postage, will cost us $12,000. There was a little bit of an increase to our salary. Like he mentioned, we requested that we move it up to $15 an hour. We did a check last year and went through every hour that we put in, and then because everybody keeps asking us what we make per hour, but we're salary, so we figured that we would just write down every hour that we put in or whatever, just so we could get an idea. Once we did that, it was 1,575 hours for one registrar for the year last year, which comes out to $12.73 an hour with our salary. So we just requested that it be moved up to $15 an hour. That's why there's a little bit of an increase there. Let me see, I believe. We have a part-time assistant that's in the office, so her salary will always increase just like any other salary that'll go up. I think that that's everything. I had a note here and I screwed up my papers, but I'm pretty sure that that was everything.
Are there any other questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, the number on the floor is $213,435. I can do just a yay or nay in here, but I do have to call out the names online. So,
If anybody wants, I'm not on Zoom, but I can't see if anybody has their hands raised yet.
no one has their hands raised yet.
Okay.
All in favor? Aye. Okay.
Aye.
So I have
Aye.
Emma,
Aye.
Representative Guimpiero is a yes. Representative Dean Shinbrot is a yes. Representative Scott is a yes. Representative Hanscom?
Yes.
Yes. Representative Watson is a yes. Representative Ray is a yes. Representative Casper?
Yes.
Representative Ivy?
Yes.
Representative Bailey and Eben both have their hand up. Representative Whitney
Yes.
and Representative Fritchie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? Okay, that passes unanimously, which is
We are at 33.
3300. Next up is account number 1011, Information Technology, which is found on page 68.
Account number 1011, Information Technology, is found on page 68. Present was Manager Brian Hancock. A motion was made by Representative Chase to move $1,215,633. It was seconded by Representative Jacome. The discussion, Manager Hancock discussed the software costs and the contract increases for programs and the systems that the town uses. Maintenance contracts have increased as well. The review of page 68 summary basically shows the cost increases. The use of contractors and infrastructure within our systems, security and firewalls was part of our discussion, as well as programs. The mechanics and the maintenance of this cost were discussed. There would be a 5% cut to do this budget, was one of the questions. What would 5% cut do to this budget if was one of the questions asked? And the response was a loss of a personnel. Revenue streams for services were discussed, along with cable options, pole services, fiber optic options, and those were pretty much the topics that we touched upon. Chairman Powers called for a vote. There were 7 in favor, 0 opposed, 0 abstained. The motion passed. So moved. $1,215,633. Do I have a second?
Yes, sir. Who seconded that?
Right.
Right.
Okay, the number we have on the floor is $1,215,633. Any comments? Representative Scott.
Madam Moderator, just continuing on the conversation I had last night, again, the residents of the town of Groton, the homeowners, because of the increase in our assessments, are facing somewhere between a 7 and 8% increase in our property taxes this year. Therefore, I'm going to move a number that represents a 5% decrease of $1,154,856. Again, that's $1,154,856. I do recognize that represents a reduction in a staff member or two, but I think people's property tax bills need to be taken into perspective. I know for me, it represents about a $900 increase. If you can face your neighbors at the end of all this and explain that a $900 increase is okay, I guess that's okay with you guys, but I think we really need to start making some cuts here.
Do you have a second on that?
Do I have a second?
Second.
Gardner?
Any other questions, comments? Representative Aubry.
Is it all right to speak to? Is it okay to speak to this number that was put on the floor? I think if you look at the past years and you look at the budget tonight that he's asking for, there's a very small increase. I've always felt that this department did an excellent job with a very slim budget. So I would ask that the number that was put on the floor from the committee be the one that's acceptable. Thank you very much.
Town Manager Burke.
Sure, and Brian could speak more to this, but he can't lose a person in that department. He's understaffed as it is. We'd have so many things not getting done. You could forget about, safety for, spam and everything else and viruses, but it would be, all our projects, upgrading finance systems, everything else would all stop. So it would be very devastating to that department.
Yes, Representative Pacino.
In the current budget that you're asking for, does this include getting all that gear out of the basement?
Getting it out of the basement, getting it deployed.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a plan to deploy that within the next 6 or 7 months.
So with the 5% cut, would you be able to do that?
A lot of the support would be throughout the town. The person we'd probably be losing would be a PC support person. We have about 3 of them right now. They're assigned projects that each individual one does right now, and one does the police department, one does the rest of the town, PCs, upgrade support, day-to-day stuff, and if we lose that, we would fall farther behind than we are now.
Yes, Representative Jacome.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Moderator. We did have a discussion in the committee referencing, cyber infrastructure, and I think we need to tread lightly here if we're going to cut the budget for this one. He's dealing with segment networking, cloud backup, and working, and like Town Manager Burt said, that leaves us open to, ransomware attacks, just like Plainfield, for example. So that's something to keep in mind. It would keep us and make us very vulnerable as a town, and our departments would also be vulnerable. So I would support the original number. Thank you.
Representative Thomas.
Yes, thank you, Madam Moderator. To a point that Representative Pacino just made, what gear in the basement was that he was referring to?
Well, that's the new data center infrastructure that we're going to be deploying, replacing all of our current blades with a new back-end infrastructure that we have sitting down there waiting to be deployed.
All right, and the 3 employees that you referred to, how long have they been with the town so far?
The one that would be slated is 12 to 13 years.
Okay, and so where are the other increases coming from then? If it's like if you had to live with a 5% cut, and you were committed to not cutting a position, where else could you trim?
Can't do it. I have all maintenance contracts. I have about $2,000, maybe $3,000 for plotter supplies.
Plotter supplies, could you explain?
Plotter, ink and paper.
Oh, that. Okay.
GIS stuff. GIS stuff. So,
Yeah.
and the other like $300 or $400 is just office supplies. Everything else is dedicated to a software maintenance contract.
And how long do those go for?
1 year.
1 year at a time?
1 year at a time.
All right. And do they typically kind of trend upwards or downwards or flat? Or how often do you kind of shop around for the best options out there?
Well, you can't really shop around when you have a software that is a finance software. You're kind of stuck with them. You shopping around, it will cost you $300,000 to $400,000 to buy a new system versus
And years to get it in.
in years to get it in.
So the maintenance programs are proprietary to the systems that you buy?
Yes.
Are there any other sort of options out there that other municipalities use that maybe have some more flexibility inherent in them?
Every software you buy will have a maintenance contract associated with it.
And it's all proprietary?
If you owned a software package, wouldn't it be proprietary?
Well, that's debatable.
You want to give a couple examples of stuff?
All right,
that went up?
thank you for the information.
Oh, yeah.
Representative Weaver.
Speaking from personal experience, I work in finance, and we just moved our system where I worked up into a cloud mode, which costs tremendous amount of money. And you have to, in this field, you have to keep technologically advanced, otherwise you fall behind, especially when you're storing the data of our town, our financial data, and you have to make sure that it's protected. So I understand and completely agree why the cost doesn't necessarily stay static, but as often as technology changes, the price increases to maintain it as well. So I would vote not to reduce the number that's been proposed in the budget.
Representative Cobb.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I also support the first number, and I totally understand Representative Scott's desire to cut overall. We want to be very responsible to the townspeople. This is not an area that I believe we should do that in. This is an extremely important area to the entire town, to all its residents, and keeping our IT systems running well and protecting our data and lots of other different things, to me, is a vital component.
Thank you. Representative Norman. And if you could turn your name tag around to give me a fighting chance, that'd be great.
I am so sorry. It's like that game.
Guess the representative. If you could stand up, please, so the camera can find you too.
Okay.
Thank you.
So 2 questions there. Can you talk to us a little bit more about what Tyler Energov is? And then I think I was also surprised by the increase in Microsoft Office 365, like, almost threefold. And I know you talked a little bit in the committee, but about BreezeLine, so we have an understanding of what's happening there.
Okay, the Tyler Energov is the new permitting system for the planning department. We're replacing what their current software is with this new Energov system. It's about a little over a year implementation. So this is the first year that you're seeing little over $37,000 for their annual maintenance for when that comes online. The Energov, the Office 365, we were informed by our representative that Microsoft is restructuring their licensing. They're doing away with our current licensing. We're going to keep the same product, but they're increasing the price by this over $20,000 on us. He did state that this might be the worst case scenario, but I do have to be prepared to pay X amount of dollars if that is the worst case that does happen. And the Atlantic, the BreezeLine fiber increase, a little over $20,000. That is the town's current wide area dark fiber infrastructure that we have, point to point to all our town buildings. We've been leasing it for the last 5, 7, 9 years from Thames Valley. And obviously BreezeLine has a different model for charging per mile per fiber. And they informed me that this price increase, they held it off till July 1 for me, so that's the increase.
Yeah, one follow-up, this is something I just don't know anything about. Where, right now, we're sort of stuck with BreezeLine and those kinds of large increases. If we foresee that to be something in the future, do we have any ability with, future ARPA funds or anything to try to build actually new infrastructure that maybe doesn't cost quite so much year over year?
Absolutely. We've looked into this years ago. It was about 7, 8, 9 years ago. We were looking to build our own infrastructure ring for the town, and it was running probably about $600,000 to $700,000. But if you put it over 10 years, we're still saving money.
Yeah.
Just to mention, that was tried again in the last 5 years, because it's been since I've been here again that we introduced it, yeah.
Got it. Okay. And sorry, a last question. Representative Jacome mentioned that you are ready for a ransomware attack like what happened in Plainfield. Can we confirm that you feel confident in that and have the system set up so that if a ransomware attack happens, we will be fine?
Well, we hope it never happens.
Sure, but if it does.
And we do have things in place, firewalls, antivirus, protection on the local PCs, and a couple systems outside that, just monitoring and watching it all.
And backup, or?
We have backups that are right now currently on-prem and in the cloud.
Okay. Great, thank you.
Representative Thomas.
I'd like to move a second number. I'd like to move $1,185,242. That, yes.
Second, Scott.
Okay.
That represents a 2.5 decrease. Just giving another option out there to split the difference between the requested amount and the 5% reduction. And I believe I just I am in full support of security and all that. I just I don't know. I think we need to look for some efficiencies all over the place. And so if we can trim a little here, trim a little there, trim a little there, we can maybe get to the number that we're hoping to get to by the end of this budget session. Thank you.
Representative Scott.
I want to thank Representative Thomas for moving that second number. I was going to go there if my number had failed. It's been around this budget barn for a lot of years, and I don't want to be critical of staff. They do a wonderful job managing our town. But the go-to thing that I think we all pull on our heartstrings a little bit is that if we make a cut, what's going to get cut? It's going to be an employee. I guess, I work in corporate America, and sometimes employees have to be cut. It's hard, it's painful. It's an awful thing to have to do, to be on the end of John Bird or whoever's going to be responsible for letting somebody go. But again, this is an increase in property taxes for every homeowner in this town of almost 8%. I think we have to start considering some level of cut and find a number that we're comfortable with, whether it be a 5%, a 2.5%, a 1%. There's got to be a number that we can all work with and be able to accept and make some cuts. So I would support the 2.5% number. Here in the room, 5% doesn't seem like it's got any legs. I hope maybe 2.5% does. Thank you.
Representative Casper?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Again, looking for 2% or 5%. If you cut everything in this budget by 5%, the result is going to be less than 2.5% overall, because the biggest part of our budget, 56%, is the part that we can't cut. And that affects 10% of the population. The rest of it, when you make a cut here, it's affecting 100%. And I can appreciate Representative Scott's feeling about increased taxes, but all you got to do is compare what's happening in Groton to other communities, and every community is having the same trouble. And there's no sense in crippling the town to just save on some taxes. Just bite the bullet. Groton is still a bargain. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no other hand raised, the first number we are voting on is $1,185,242. All in, do you want to do all in favor? Say aye. Oh, I think we're doing a roll call vote.
Yeah.
We're going to do a roll call vote.
It's just a little too much.
So the number that we are looking at is this bottom one. It's a 2.5% decrease. 1 million.
Account 1011.
Yes, account 1011 in the amount of 1,185,000. I'm sorry, let me start that over again. 1,185,242.
Okay. Adams?
Abstain.
Bailey?
Yes.
Burrell?
No.
Bright?
No.
Casper?
No.
Chase?
No.
Kopp?
No.
Dean Shinbrot?
Yes.
Eben?
Yes.
Fritchie's, are you back on? I'll have to come back. He fell off. So we'll have to come back. Gardner?
Yes.
Guinapiero?
Yes.
Gustafson?
No.
Hanscom?
Yes.
Ivy?
No.
Jacome?
No.
Massett?
No.
Merritt?
No.
Norman?
Yes.
Aubrey?
No.
Powers?
No.
Pacino?
No.
Ray?
No.
Scott?
Yes.
Cimarero?
No.
Thomas?
Yes.
V.C. Williams?
No.
Watson?
No.
Weaver?
No.
Wells?
No.
White?
No.
Whitney?
Yes.
Rusk?
No.
Okay. That is 10 yes, 21 no, and 1 abstention.
So that fails 10 to 20 to 1. So the next number we are going to look at is 1,154,856. Can you do a roll call vote, please?
Okay, this is the second, this is the first one. 1154856, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
1154856. this number.
Okay. Adams?
No.
Bailey?
Yes.
Burrell?
No.
Bright?
No.
Casper?
No.
Chase?
No.
Kopp?
No.
Dean Shinbrot?
No.
Eben?
No.
Fritchie, are you back? Nope. Okay.
He is. He just got back.
Fritchie? Representative Fritchie?
Yes.
Is that a yes vote?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Yes, yes, and yes. Okay, okay. Gardner?
Yes.
Guinipiero?
No.
Gustafson?
No.
Hanscom?
No.
Ivy?
No.
Jacome?
No.
Massett?
No.
Merritt?
No.
Norman?
No.
Aubry?
No.
Powers?
No.
Pacino?
No.
Ray?
No.
Scott?
Yes.
Cimarero?
No.
Thomas?
Yes.
V.C. Williams?
No.
Watson?
No.
Weaver?
No.
Wells?
No.
White?
No.
Whitney?
No.
And Rusk.
No.
That's 5 in favor, 28 opposed, and no abstentions.
So that motion fails 5-28-0. Representative Frickman, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I am here. There's no chat tonight. I can't see it, so I just want you to know I'm here.
Thank you. The next number on the floor is the original number, $1,215,633. Is there another roll call vote?
Okay, Adams?
Yes.
Bailey?
No.
Burrell?
Yes.
Bright?
Yes.
Casper?
Representative Casper?
Yes.
Chase?
Yes.
Kopp?
Yes.
Dean Shinbrot?
No.
Eben? Representative Eben?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Frick-
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Fritchie?
Abstain.
Okay. Gardner?
No.
Guinipiero?
No.
Gustafson?
Yes.
Hanscom?
Yes.
Ivy?
Yes.
Jacome?
Yes.
Massett?
Yes.
Merritt?
Yes.
Norman?
Yes.
Aubry?
Yes.
Powers?
Yes.
Pacino?
Yes.
Ray?
Yes.
Scott?
No.
Cimarero?
Yes.
Thomas?
No.
V.C. Williams?
Yes.
Watson?
Yes.
Weaver?
Yes.
Wells?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Whitney?
Yes.
And Rusk.
Yes.
26 in favor, 6 opposed, and 1 abstention.
So that number passes, 26,
And Gothier
6,
is
and
here.
1.
Okay.
All right. Next on the agenda is CIP 6050, which is 7, CIP 7 for technology. It is on page, sorry, I'm missing the page number. Do you have a page number?
Yes, we have a
72?
76. What number are we on?
72.
72.
What?
Page
Oh, that's,
237.
237.
Thank you, 237.
No, the next one's 72, technology.
Yeah, we're trying to do.
Oh, I'm sorry, so page 72 for
Yeah, we're going to do account
6050?
6050, please.
6050 is next. That's on page 72.
Correct.
All right, hold on. Oh, my apologies. Yes. Account number 6050, technology replacement, page 72.
We have 35 members present.
Account 6050, technology replacement, page 72. Manager Hancock present. Motion was made by Representative Chase to move $65,242. It was seconded by Representative Jacome. The discussion was as follows. There was discussion about replacement of the desktop PC computers, laptops, and printers every 5 years. This is an ongoing project which has a database for replacement each year. The town has over 280 computers in service. The GIS system was discussed about who uses it as well as the old computers and where they go and how they're disposed of. It pretty much encompasses what we discussed in this account. Chairman Powers called for a vote. 7 in favor, 0 opposed, 0 abstaining. I'd like to move $65,242.
$65,000.
$242.
I don't have a chat. Are you writing the numbers in chat?
No.
I don't have a
Oh.
chat to write numbers in.
Any discussion? Representative Thomas.
I'd like to move a second number. I'd like to move $9,840.
Seconded.
Gothier, second.
What?
Gothier, second.
This number represents just the interest income, other agencies, outside agencies, everything basically in the second, plus the software maintenance, minus printer replacement, minus computer replacement for the year.
Okay. So there's an understanding, we do not get to choose what comes out of the budget. We can say a number, but we can't say where that money comes from.
I understand that. All I'm saying is that's where I did my math.
Okay.
That's where the math
No,
came
I-
from. And, it's just out there for conversation's sake.
Okay, perfect, thank you. Any discussion? Go ahead.
Well, this fund here is, we've been running it for many, many years here. I keep a very detailed spreadsheet of all PCs, printers, laptops, validators, and some peripheral equipment that Sean uses in GMTV. This is to keep the technology for the users within the town current. We try our best to scale it out, everything over 5 years. PCs get replaced every 5 years on their desktop. Laptops are every 6 years. And printers are every 10 years. You start going on a little farther than that, especially with the PCs, with Windows 11 coming out and stuff like that. The systems start to degrade, and it takes longer for users to do stuff. This is actually the expenditure side, so cutting this really doesn't save anything in the budget. There's another cost center. I think Finance Director Landry could speak of that, which is actually zeroed out. We're putting no funds into that either.
So nothing general fund.
Nothing from general fund.
And just to keep in mind, we have quite a few computers that just go down every year, and we have to have them ready to go because what we can't do is order them once they go down. So no matter, if we set it at this, we're going to be going for a fourth quarter transfer.
Any further discussion on this one? Okay, we're going to vote on the last number, which is 9,840. We're going to do a roll call vote.
Representative Kristen Powers is here. I don't see her, but I don't see her. Do you see her anywhere?
I'm not seeing it. Oh, hold on a second. Okay, she's under attendees. I'll promote her.
Oh, okay. There you go. Okay. Okay, all right. So now we have 36 people here.
Okay, just as a reminder, we are on account 6050. The number on the floor at the moment is $9,840. That is what we are voting on.
Just got to put her in, 36. Okay. You ready?
Yes.
Okay. Representative Adams? No. Okay, I'm sorry. Bailey?
Yes.
Burrell?
No.
Bright?
No.
Casper?
No.
Chase?
No.
Kopp?
No.
Dean Shinbrot?
No.
Eben?
No.
Frickman?
No.
Fritchie?
No.
Gardner?
Yes.
Gothier?
No.
Guinipiero?
No.
Gustafson?
Sorry.
I'm sorry,
Nobody else
Gustafson?
didn't like the number either.
Gustafson?
No.
Okay. Hanscom?
No.
Ivy?
No.
Jacome?
No.
Massett?
No.
Merritt?
No.
Norman?
No.
Aubrey?
No.
K. Powers?
No.
S. Powers?
No.
Pacino?
No.
Ray?
No.
Scott?
Yes.
Cimarero?
No.
Thomas?
Yes.
V.C. Williams?
Yes.
Oops, 25. Watson?
No.
Weaver?
No.
Wells?
No.
White?
No.
Whitney?
Yes.
Rusk?
No.
29, okay, 6 in favor, 29 opposed.
I had 5 in favor,
Nope. No.
1 abstention.
Nope, I've got Bailey, no.
30
No,
opposed.
excuse me, Bailey, yes. Gardner, yes. Scott, yes. Thomas, yes. V.C. Williams, yes. And Whitney, yes.
Do you have 1 abstention?
No.
Okay, then I was off on that. So that motion fails 6 to 30. The next number on the floor is 6
No, 6 to 29.
6 to 29.
So 35,
There's 36 of us.
36. 26. Oh, yep, 27, 28, 29, 30. Thank you.
Representatives Eben and Whitney have their hands up.
Representative Eben.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I had a question I just wanted to ask. I had raised my hand before we took the first vote, but, and maybe it was said and I missed it. The audio's not that great. For the this account used to be paid on another fund. Is that account now zeroed out? Is that what happened there?
No, it is from another fund. There's no general fund dollars going into this.
Well, it looks like fund balance is being applied.
Yeah. Of this other fund, not general fund, of the IT fund.
No, but what I'm asking is there was before for in 2021 and 2022, they had payments from other funds at the amount of 66,000. What other fund was that?
So what happened with that?
We used to have
Applying the funds.
Yep. The last
general
3
fund.
years, a couple of years, the payment from other funds and then fund balance applied. So those were those general fund dollars those years?
That was the contribution.
Yeah.
Right.
Their earlier years were general fund, and this year there's no general fund dollars.
Thank you for clarifying.
Representative Whitney.
I actually had a question along the same lines. I was just wondering if the town manager could clarify exactly where the funds are coming from for this CIP. And actually, as we go forward with any CIP, I know that there's ARPA funds for some and not for others. Just like if we could make a note of that in discussion, it'd be helpful.
Point of order, we're not on the CIP right now.
Right.
I take your point, yeah.
Does he
So the
understand that?
question is,
Does he understand
So Representative Whitney, we're not discussing the CIP right now, but we will discuss where the money is coming from for this one.
It's in.
The money comes out, there's, every year we schedule funds and we put it into a fund balance for technology replacement. At this point, we zeroed out that amount for this year, and we're just going to use the money that was in this IT fund balance. That's where this money's coming from.
Thank you. And just point of clarification, we're on 60/50? I thought we were...
Yes, we are on 60/50.
Okay, thank you.
So this is something I forgot to do. The town manager asked for 65,242. The town council passed the same number, as did the committee. So the number that we are, Representative Whitney, do you have another question?
How to lower my hand, but I'll figure it out.
Okay. So we are voting on 65,242. Would you like to do a roll call vote?
I think we probably should. Oh, this is the main number, right?
This is the main number, 65,242.
I think we don't need I don't think we need a roll call.
You just want to do yes?
Uh-huh.
All in favor?
Aye.
Online, if you can just raise, if you have your camera up, if you can put your hand up or down, because I need to call it out. So Representative Hanscom is a yes, Representative Whitney is a yes, Representative Guillen-Piero is a yes, Representative Eben is a yes, Representative Hasper is a yes, Representative Fickman is a yes, Representative Powers is a yes, Representative Dean Shinbrot is a yes, Representative Watson is a yes, Representative Ray is a yes, Representative Ivy is a yes. I don't have, Representative Scott is a yes. Did we get Casper?
Yeah,
Yes.
he said yes.
Representative Bailey is a yes. Representative Fritchie and Frickman, I think, are the only, yes. Representative Frickman?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Once you called me, I put my hand down.
Thank you. It's just hard because everybody moves around.
As soon as one goes,
Okay, all those opposed. Representative Thomas and Representative Gardner. Okay, anybody, any abstentions? Okay, so that passes in 34 to 2 to 0. All right, thank you. CIP 7 is found on 237.
CIP 7, Technology A, Information Technology Infrastructure, on page 237. Manager Hancock was present at the time. Motion was made by Representative Chase to move $113,000, seconded by Representative Jacome. The discussion, Manager Hancock explained the firewall safety with the new infrastructure upgrades, along with the continuing funding of this long-term project. This is an estimate of costs with house management of these expenses. The backup systems, the use of the cloud technology was also discussed. The systems seem to be in place for proper storage of information. Chairman Powers called for a vote, 6 in favor, 0 opposed, 0 abstentions. The motion passed. So moved, $113,000.
Gustafson. A. CIP 7A.
Okay, CIP 7A was passed by the town council in the amount of $113,000 and/or capital reserve fund. And that was what was asked for by the town manager, and that is what was passed by the committee. Any discussion? Representative Gauthier.
So this month,
if you don't mind standing up so the camera can find you, please.
Is it working?
Yep.
Okay.
Hold it up.
So these funds, is this routine maintenance that needs to recur again and again, or is this just kind of once every 5 or 10 years?
Some of it's every year. Server upgrades, we got to keep ahead of the end-of-life operating systems for our servers. Roughly, we have almost 60 of them in place, so it's constant. We're chasing them every year. So that's an ongoing thing. Some of the other items, on-prem backup is coming to end of life. Obviously, that's a purchase, 5, 6, 7 years until that goes end of life. We're looking at a web security access. We're trying to upgrade that to a better cloud-based version, which obviously when we upgrade, we're paying maintenance fees on that, and the maintenance fee will transfer over to that one. So, and then we're looking for a security penetration test. That's a one and done, maybe.
Let's hope so. So those maintenance fees, or the maintenance costs, why are they housed here instead of in a different account?
This, we have to buy the on-prem, we have to replace it, so it's a cost.
Right.
So it comes out of the CIP, and then once we get all the pieces together, we put it into my operating budget.
Okay, so none of this here right now is just maintenance. It's buying products that then need maintenance.
Yes.
So what do you see the annual cost increasing for these purchases just on maintenance?
I don't see much of an increase on them. I'm looking hopefully to be static or within, a couple $100 of each other.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, I'm going to ask those on Zoom. I'm calling the question, but I'm going to do the question or the number, but those on Zoom, if you raise your hand, if you can keep it up and not take it down, just so that I can get through everybody. All in favor of CIP 7A in the amount of $113,000, please say aye.
Aye.
So I have Representative Casper, Representative Hanscom, Frickman, Scott, Eben, Bailey, Whitney, Ivy, Guampiero, Powers, Dean Shinbrot, Watson, Ray, all in favor.
We need Whitney and Whitney.
Whitney and Fritchie.
Representative Whitney.
Representative Whitney and Fritchie, how do you vote, please?
Richie is yes.
And Whitney?
Whitney is yes. I thought you.
Okay.
Sorry.
Anyone opposed?
Nobody's seeing it.
Everybody can put their hand down on Zoom. Thank you. Any opposition? Anyone abstaining? All right, that number passes in the amount of $113,000.
36.
I'm sorry?
36 people.
36 to 0 to 0. Yes. All right. We are now on to account 1012, Human Resources, found on page 76.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nicely done.
Account 1012, Human Resources, page 76. Director Arnett Green was with us. Arnett, how do I say your name? Arnetta? Anisha. Thank you. Pardon me. Anisha Green was with us. A motion was made by Representative Jacome to move $362,489. Seconded by Representative Chase. The discussion that we had with Director Green explained the differences in the categories of this account, which include jobs for the department, professional development, and diversity and inclusion, risk management, employee relations, and benefits were also explained. Retiree benefits and Social Securities were topics that were discussed. Medicare and Medicaid benefits and the impact on retirees and the cost to the town were complex issues. The contracts govern the benefits. This discussion was expanded. We will revisit it in a different account that we're going to go into later on here. Director Green explained to us the variation of employee status from the prior director's retirement. It was the loss of a position. The overall budget went down, and we see no further adjustments as needed. Diversity inclusion funding was included in this budget. Chairman Powers called for a vote. 6 were in favor, 0 opposed, 0 abstained. The motion passed. So move $362,489. Second?
Second, Jacome.
This was the original number from the town manager, passed by the town council, and also passed by the committee. Any discussion? Representative Gauthier.
I had a question that relates more to the narrative in here. It has a table of closed claims and the numbers for FYE 22. Do we have kind of the same information about open claims for 23 that we're looking at?
I do not. I changed what it looked like last year, if you're familiar with the last year, because it didn't specify for what period of time was open and closed. So this is a transition year, and then I can lay it side by side next year.
So do we have an idea of what kind of claims and the amounts that we're looking at for this coming year?
There's less than 10 open right now.
And about how much?
It's to be determined depending on what happens.
Sure. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions or comments? Representative Gardner.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I'd like to move another number. $356,139.
Second, Scott.
Your rationale.
Okay, my rationale is I'm looking at the $6,350 for the requested training.
What line are you on, please?
Well, I'm looking in the summary
Oh, okay.
on page 76.
Okay.
I would think that that training would take place at work, on the job, by the senior personnel to the junior personnel, and no further training would be needed.
Can I clarify where you're looking exactly?
The summary.
Page 76.
76.
Subtracting the $6,000.
First paragraph of summary.
Okay. Can I respond?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. So there's a couple of increases in here which we talked about during the Finance Committee training outside, at least $5,000 for DEI. We are really trying to support the DI collaborative, both in events and taking a look at where it's at, reestablishing the pillars, helping to drive the work forward, and how are we coordinating what's going on with DEI and integrating it into all of the different aspects of the town. In order to do this, there is a request to have an outside consultant partner with us for best practices around this. So that's a portion of the increase.
Representative Gardner.
Is that absolutely necessary? Absolutely necessary for the function of the department and the town?
I believe DI is very important. I believe it is necessary. It should be integrated into all aspects of the town. The town recently voted to add a holiday in support of DI. I personally believe it aligns with where the town is going and best practices in HR and supporting employees.
Will the town shut down if we don't do that? Will the HR department shut down?
It won't, but it'll be a very negative message to potential employees and to current employees.
I agree.
I disagree.
Representative Eben.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I also was curious about professional training and development. Line item 5210 is in the order of $34,500. Is that all for the outside consultant for DEI training, or is that an additional cost somewhere else?
So 5210, professional development and training. Tuition reimbursement is actually included in there as well. Any trainings.
I can't hear. Can someone not turn their pages, please? Thank you.
So for
Sorry.
5210, that includes a couple of items. Most prominently, we're discussing DEI, but it includes trainings, and it also includes tuition reimbursement for employees.
What kind of reimbursement? Sorry, I didn't hear.
Tuition reimbursement?
Oh, tuition. Tuition for what?
For college classes, per different collective bargaining agreements, employees are allowed to have different amounts of reimbursement.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, seeing no other hand, oh, sorry. Representative Aubry.
I just wanted to add to the conversation the fact that I don't know any profession today that you're in that you don't need constant training. Things change all the time. As a real estate agent, I'm constantly taking classes, learning something new, learning how to do something else differently. I don't know of anything that anybody does that you don't need training. Even having a baby and bringing it up, you need a little training. So I can't encourage that we make that change. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Representative Representative Gauthier had her hand up next. Yes.
Thank you. What, if any, of this training can be offset or swapped by CCM training or any other trainings that are provided by those municipality organizations that we are a part of and pay fees towards?
Sometimes CCM trainings have a cost, sometimes they don't. It depends on the training, and usually they are one of the lower cost options as well as more local organizations. So that is what we would normally gravitate towards unless there was a specialty of some sort.
Representative Weaver.
I see that we're focusing on the training, but one of the things that's glaring to me that's obvious is that the recruiting and the benefits have gone up. And that's a considerable thing to take into consideration, because even in my organization, our recruiting fees have gone up extraordinarily because there's not qualified candidates or people bidding on positions. So you have to get you have to pay for constant recruiting fees, and the cost of employee benefits are going up too. So, but I think it's commendable that this particular department put together their budget and it's less than it was previously. So I'm not sure why of all departments that we're trying to cut is one that was conscientious about cutting their own budget. And in my opinion, I think we should go with the original number.
Representative Dean Chinbrot.
I just wanted to make a comment that I formerly worked for the town in education, and in our union, the only training we got was in-house, and we were not reimbursed for any classes we took outside. So that might be something to consider, is doing in-house training, which is far cheaper. That's it.
I'm going to ask a clarifying question. The training in here and the education reimbursement is a part of a union contract?
Yes.
Okay.
For college tuition.
For college tuition, okay. What about the training? Is that part of a union contract also, part of it even? No, okay, thank you. Okay, Representative Dean Chinbrot, did you have another question? Okay, thank you. Nope, okay. Representative Thomas.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Moderator. Not a question as much as just a comment. I do appreciate Representative Weaver's comments. Overall, yeah, it's a downward trend in the line item. So I also believe that DEI training is important, and as far as having an outside specialist come in to do it, I think that also is beneficial in that there can be sort of an insular way of thinking in any organization, and so having outside perspectives to come in and give some insights and advice on matters that they're not entrenched in can be very beneficial. So I'm in support of the original number.
Representative Wells, are you raising your hand? No? Okay. 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 All right, so the number on the floor is 356,139. That is the lower number. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So we have, all right, we're going to do a roll call vote.
Sorry. I thought we could do it, but.
Sorry.
Okay, this is.
Hold on.
A figure of 9,800, oops, excuse me.
Those of you on Zoom, we're going to do a roll call vote.
3-5.
So if you can put your hands down.
Account 1012 for amount 356139?
Correct.
Okay. That's what I got too. Yes, no, or abstentions. Adams?
Yes.
Bailey? Representative Bailey? Oh, I'm sorry. He's got his hand up. Burrell?
No.
Bright?
Yes.
Casper?
Yes. No.
Yes, no, okay.
That's a no vote.
Okay. Chase? You can take your hands down, Casper. Chase?
No.
Kopp?
No.
Dean Shinbrot?
Yes.
Eben?
Yes.
Frickman?
Yes.
Fritchie?
Yes.
Gardner?
Yes.
Gothier?
Absolutely not.
That wasn't a choice. Guinipiero?
Yes.
Gustafson?
No.
Hanscom?
Abstain.
Ivy?
No.
Jacome?
No.
Massett?
No.
Merritt?
No.
Norman?
No.
Aubrey?
No.
K. Powers?
No.
S. Powers?
No.
Pacino?
No.
Ray?
No.
Scott?
Yes.
Cimarero?
No.
Thomas?
No.
V.C. Williams?
No.
Watson?
No.
Weaver?
No.
Wells?
No.
White?
No.
Whitney?
No.
And Rusk.
No. So that motion fails in the, for 10 to 25 to 1. So the next number we have is $362,489. Do you want to do a roll call or?
It's up to you. This is fast.
All in favor? Aye. Those of you online, if you could raise your hand and keep it up. So just keep your hands up even if I call your name. So Representative Powers is a yes, Representative Eben, Whitney, Bailey, Frickman, Hanscom, Ivy, Guimpiero, Casper, Ray, Watson are all yeses. I don't have Representative Fritchie.
Yes.
Okay, Representative Fritchie is a yes. Representative Dean Shinbrot is a no. Representative Scott?
I'm a no.
No. Okay, all of those opposed in the audience here. We have Representative Gardner. Anyone abstaining? No abstentions?
That's 3 opposed.
So I have 33 to 3 to 0. That motion passes. Next up is account 1070 on page 82.
Account 1070, Insurance and Claims. Director Green was president. It's found on page 82. Motion was made by Representative Jacome for $859,861, and it was seconded by Representative Chase. Director Green, in our discussion, explained the differences in the categories of this account. Again, yep. The market drives this account, and due to the claims and insurance costs, we can only estimate the changes. The discussion continued as we went through the cost centers of the general liabilities of the town and what their responsibilities are and for which departments. Director Green explained that the expenses for liability on pages 82 through 84 in each of these areas in detail to the committee's satisfaction. The department split a percentage of the cost for these insurance liabilities. Premiums overall in the market seem to be trending upward. COVID-19 impacts has created some adjustments, and we are only estimating what might happen as we shop for the premiums. The fourth quarter transfers might create an adjustment. Chairman Powers called the vote, 6 in favor, 0 opposed, 0 abstained. The motion passed. So moved, $859,861.
Okay, the number on the floor is $859,861. This is the number across the board from the town manager and the town council. Any discussion? Representative Casper.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I just want to point out that the insurance that's shown for the Shellfish Commission boats is a little misleading because it's not for the Shellfish Commission boats that are that expensive, but isn't there a police boat involved in that?
There is a total of 4. 3 of them are shellfish.
And one police. One police.
Yes, yes.
Yep.
Any other questions? Representative Gauthier.
How often does the town go and kind of shop around for insurance?
Every year.
Every year. And is any of this able to be procured or shared through like CCM? Do they offer anything like that? I'm just thinking like cost sharing, cost savings across municipalities.
I think of KERMA for CCM for workers' comp, not necessarily, well, for risk as well. I think we've had better results, but I'd have to get back to you if there's been studies done to compare the two.
Thank you.
Representative Thomas.
Just curious to know, so just to be clear, that the Shellfish Commission line item does include the police boat insurance? That's an affirmative?
Yes. So 3 shellfish boats, 1 police boat.
And just out of curiosity, why is it not a separate line item?
I did not change it from last year. It didn't occur to me to make it one.
Okay. Just moving forward, I think it might be nice just to have that broken out, so full disclosure and transparency. Thank you.
Representative Weaver.
I would like to move a new number, $851,262.39.
No sense.
Oh, it was a
What was the number?
851,262. Okay. Sorry, I had the sense of there.
Second, Thomas.
My rationale is that in my own personal life with shopping for insurance, and even in my profession, we have several insurance providers. We shop around on an annual basis, and I can easily perceive that they can generate at least a 1% savings in the overall cost. And if we have to trim, I think that this is a nominal amount that we can trim, and that's my rationale for doing this, 1%.
I just want to clarify that when we do go out every year, our broker does shop out on the market to different.
While I respect and appreciate that, my organization, because we take care of several entities, we have more than one broker. So, I mean, a broker is just an opinion. So just as there are brokers, there are several different types of insurances. So it's not irrational to think that you can come back and save at least 1%. In my own personal car insurance, it just went up this year because of a pool from $160 to $210 a month. I went out and I sought another provider, and it went from $210 to $150 a month, just by virtue of shopping around. And like Representative Scott and other representatives have said, we have to trim somewhere. And I think this could be a very easy area to trim in by a very nominal amount.
Representative Scott.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I work in the commercial insurance marketplace, And as much as I would love to support Representative Weaver's number, we are entering what's known as a hard market, which means the insurance costs for commercial entities, including municipality insurance, fire department insurance, things along those lines, have actually been going up as much as 40 and 50% due to frequency and severity of claims in that marketplace. I am fearful that if we cut this number, which seems like a reasonable number in my professional opinion for a municipality the size of the town of Groton, that we'll actually be doing one of those fourth quarter transfers. Breaks my heart not to cut a number. You know me, I've been wanting to do it all over this budget, but I think this is the wrong place to do it. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Gauthier.
Are the amounts that are listed here for policies that we've already entered into or agreed to, or are these just general figures from the shopping around?
These are...
Wait, can you speak right into the mic? Sorry, we're having a hard time hearing you.
Sure, sorry
Thank
about
you.
that. These are projections, so we take what was actually paid in the last fiscal year, and there's different percentages assigned from a risk projection, and that's where you see, that's why I adjusted it to say projected so that it would be more clear in the table.
Thank you.
Did you have a...
Yeah. Excuse me, Director, when did you start working with the town?
About 4 months ago.
Yay. Give her a hand.
Okay, seeing no other questions and comments, the number on the floor is $851,262. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Oh,
Whoops, whoops, whoops.
let's
Let's do a roll.
let's do a roll call.
Yeah,
So
okay.
we are on
This is account one.
account 1070 on page 82. The number being proposed is $851,262.
Adams?
No.
Bailey?
No.
Burrell?
No.
Bright?
No.
Casper?
No.
Chase?
No.
Kopp?
No.
Dean Shinbrot?
No.
Eben?
Yes.
Frickman?
No.
Fritchie?
No.
Gardner?
Yes.
Gauthier?
No.
Guinipiero?
No.
Gustafson?
No.
Hanscom?
No.
Ivy?
Nope.
Jacome?
No.
Massett?
No.
Merritt?
No.
Norman?
No.
Aubrey?
No.
K. Powers?
No.
S. Powers?
No.
Pacino?
No.
Ray?
No.
Scott?
No.
Cimarero?
No.
26. Thomas?
Yes.
VC Williams?
No.
Watson?
No.
Weaver?
Yes.
Wells?
No.
White?
No.
Whitney?
No.
Rusk?
No. So that fails
32.
4 to 32 to 0. The next number on the floor is $859,861. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
If everyone online can raise their hand, up,
Yes.
thumb up or thumb down, and keep it there. Okay, I have Representative Bailey, Whitney, Eben, Frickman, Hanscom, Ivy, Powers, Grimpiero, Casper, Scott, Dean Shinbrot, Ray, Watson, Fritchie, all yes.
Okay.
Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? All right, that passes 36 to 0 to 0. Thank you. Next up is account number 1071, self-funded plan on page 82, sorry.
No, 86.
No, 86, I was right the first time. Sorry, 86.
Shove my glasses back on.
Account 1071, self-funded plans, page 86, and Director Green was present with us. Motion was made by Representative Chase for $11,265,554. It was seconded by Representative Jacome. Our discussion with Director Green discussed the various cost centers for this account. Once again, she explained the retirement health benefits as it relates to Medicare and Medicaid benefits, the contractual obligations to retirees as it relates to union contracts of former employees, since this is where the greatest increase seems to occur as we reviewed the budget. These plans vary between employees and the standards under which the contracts they retired under and the circumstances of their retirement. This isn't a one-size-fits-all situation. We had quite a bit of discussion about this. The cost to taxpayers is a variable due to the age and the situation of the retiree. The employees have options, and those limit fitting into one category at the age of 65. The committee asked if there was a mandatory 65-year-old age requirement to go on Medicare and Medicaid. We had an email, it was a correspondence today about this, which Director Green will discuss with us here tonight. In order to save on the increases of the premiums and the benefits, the insurance actuaries give us a snapshot of the projected costs, which, depending on what actually occurs, is in an estimate of costs, not actual costs. This gets complicated, and these are all determined as time elapses during the insurance period. Discussion on who is on which plans for savings and how those benefits relate to Medicare and Medicaid continued as projections for savings and how to accomplish them. The collective bargaining agreements from former and existing contracts limit these issues for the ability to create a one-size-fits-all benefit, which is really what we were trying to get at. The exposure of the town as a whole group impacts these accounts, items, and we diligently work at finding solutions. And Dr. Green, being on such short terms here, has done a good job from everything that we reviewed. The workman's comp claims numbers were discussed along with the accounts in the 5155 as its reduction was substantial. This estimate was a contribution to the funds, not a payout, which we got explained to us. Page 87 explained and reviewed risk factors for these items. The budget only increased by 4.2%. So moving forward, we will continue to evaluate the insurance issues surrounding this account. Chairman Powers called for a vote. 6 were in favor, 0 opposed, 0 abstained. The motion passed. So moved. $11,265,554. Second.
I think we had a second with Gustafson first and then Bright. Representative Whitney. Representative Eben. Representative Scott.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I threw you a question for the town manager or the other individual that's with him. Let's talk about the other post-employment benefits line for a second here. This strikes me as we're funding yet another large savings account. Am I correct?
Are you looking at
1071?
what line number, please?
It's the other post-employment benefits. There's the town manager is looking for $449,707, and in his narrative, cost center number 3 and other post-employment benefits. Looks like we're sitting on $27 million. Is that a savings account for post-employment benefits?
This is considered a best practice for funding basically the other side of employees once they leave.
Okay. So where is this? Is it 23 million or is it 27 million? $27 million?
The assets? The value of assets is the...
Yes, if you look at page 87, and it talks about cost center number 3, am I correct in saying that we've got a savings account of $27 million?
The updated actuarial...
Employment benefits?
The updated actuarial value of assets is the 27 million figure that you're looking at.
Okay. So are we at any point taking
We're
money out of that
46.
savings account? Or we just keep adding money to it?
So this is funding for the spending that we are going to do. It's an actuarial projection and 46% funded.
And this is,
So again, there was some noise in the background.
and just to mention, this is one of the things that the bond rating agencies do look close at. They want to see that you're continuing to increase it.
Okay. But at this point, we're just putting money into it. Are we taking any money out of it? And if we are, how much? Like, what is our annual obligation for post-employment benefits?
From a line item account, I don't know if it comes directly out of this or if it's put somewhere else financially. I'm looking for
Could you speak into the microphone, please, I can't hear you.
Oh. Sorry about that. From a line item account perspective, yeah.
Director Landry's on her way up, and just so you know, the woman sitting next to Town Manager Scott is Director Green, who is our Human Resource Director, just so that she has a name.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to try to explain
Okay.
this.
Okay. No, that's okay.
That's all right.
Oh. I've been sitting a long time. I thought Okay, I'm going to try to explain this as best I can on page 89. The bottom line item 5170 that has the 449,707, that is what we are contributing to what we call the trust fund, which is how we are funding future benefits for retirees. When we receive our health annual renewal for health insurance, that includes the contribution that we make for existing retirees. And that is what is split out in the other line item, 51,260 for the $2 million. That's what our expected claims are. And the 449 is what we're putting into the trust fund for future benefits.
So if I'm listening to you correctly, that 5160, the $2,053,000, is that coming from the $27 million savings account or coming out of our tax bill?
No, the $2 million is what we're putting. We contribute to that, just like we contribute to the health insurance fund. We have a separate fund that's not the trust assets that we contribute that $2 million to fund current retiree benefits. Just like we pay health insurance benefits and claims from the health insurance fund, we call it, we have another fund that we contribute to on an annual basis to try to cover the current claims for active retirees. That probably wasn't a good idea, active retirees, current retirees, for their health claims.
I guess what I'm trying to figure out, it seems like we're sitting on a significant chunk of money. We keep adding somewhere in the neighborhood of $500,000 to it. And that money just keeps growing. And at what point, is it 10 years, 5 years, 2 years from now, do we start taking money out of that $27 million instead of putting money into it?
Do you want me to go with that? The decision, that is a decision that will have to be made at some point in the future, but this fund is only funded at 46%. If you look at the pension fund, which we are using to pay current retirees' pensions, is funded at about 88%. So with a fund that's only funded at 46%, if we were to start to use that for current retiree benefits, we would deplete that very, very quickly. And just like there will be a time, just like with your pension, where you contribute your annual required contribution, your ADAC, there will become a time sometime in the near future where we'll be required to contribute the ADAC to OPEB. The town of Groton was very forward-thinking when we created that trust fund years ago. We were, I believe, one of the first towns in the state that saw that and decided to begin pre-funding our retiree benefits so that we would have the funding available in the future. But at 46%, no, we will not be using that in the immediate future.
Representative
So
Gardner.
if we did not have this fund, and thinking in 2022 to 2023 dollars, what would be the financial obligation to our retirees this coming fiscal year?
Are you asking me what I think their claims might be?
Well, you must have some actuarial understanding. So is that the $2 million
Yes,
you talked about
right.
a minute ago?
Exactly. That's what are they called the consultant? MDG?
Yeah,
The consultant that works with Anthem, that comes up with an annual renewal every year and helps us determine what we should contribute to the health insurance and the OPEB fund. And that is what the funds that you see in here is based on that renewal that they have provided us.
Okay.
And it is,
Where is this?
Sorry.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Oh, and we are self-insured, so we do contribute, based on a claims basis per that renewal every year.
And where is this $27 million sitting? Is it invested in the stock market?
No, it's invested in a trust fund at ICMA, or it's now called Mission Square.
So is it earning interest, or is there
Yes.
some other source of income towards that money? And what is the interest that it's being paid on?
I don't have that information with me. I don't have the report either. I'm sorry, I could get you that information, but that was the report as of June 30th of 21. But it does earn income. I mean, that's the whole point of putting it in the trust fund. It's a specialized fund for only, that's why it's called a trust fund, for OPEB benefits.
Okay. If we were just to decide not to fund the $449,000 this year, what would be the impact?
That number would rise next year because we would not make a contribution this year, so our unfunded liability would increase.
Representative Gardner has his
I
hand up
just feel
first.
like, again, this isn't the year for us to be putting money away into any savings account. We did cut the contingency fund. I'm going to move a second number that takes the 449 out of it. I'm going to move $10,815,847.
Second, Dean Shinbrod.
Hold on, 10,815.
847.
847.
Thank you.
$10,815,847.
Yeah, that's when he's cutting.
Seconded by Dean Shinbrod.
Correct.
Can I speak to that?
Yes.
I would just add that in prior years, we have had this, the trust fund for several years, that was created by the prior finance director many, many years ago. And there were years in lean budgets when we did cut this contribution. And we have tried to make up for, I hate to use the word make up, but there have been years that this has been cut. And it has had an impact where in later, the next years, we have had to increase our contribution to the fund.
But if we just took a year off, let's just say for this year, we're not going to put the 449 in there. And next year, we went back to putting 449 in.
But it might not be 449.
Would that be sufficient?
It might not. I don't know what will happen in the market. I don't know what the actuarial or I guess we would call it the actuarial report, the valuation report, that's the term I want to use. I don't know what that report might say next year, what the recommended, if we do not put any contribution this year. I would imagine that it would increase. I have no idea what it might be.
Okay, Representative
Well,
Goff.
Again, we're sitting on $27 million. I think that this is the year we should take off. I support that second number of the $10,815,000. I'll release the floor. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Gauthier.
Is Gardner ahead of me?
He said he was good.
Okay.
Thank you, though.
So I'll just speak to this new motion. I think it is penny wise and pound foolish. It completely ignores how interest-bearing accounts work and also puts us in the same predicament, or at least down the same path as the same predicament that the state of Connecticut is when we start cutting contributions to future expenses. This is not a huge number, and it is a necessary number. So I absolutely think that this is a foolish motion, and if we forego a contribution this year and try to make up for it next year, it's not just going to be $449,000. You'll have to significantly increase that contribution to make up for what you've lost this past year. You start to get yourself behind when you kick the can down the road. It is absolutely irresponsible. It is not fiscally responsible at all, actually. So if you're looking to cut, probably not the best account. I did have a couple of questions, though. Is the town facing like the silver tsunami issue that the rest of pretty much everywhere is facing? And is this going to be, this and other, retirement benefits going to be much more of a significant cost in the next, say, 5 years?
Actuarially, they do take it into consideration. You're correct. Actuarially, it is taken into consideration as the wave of your workforce changes. So as we go down that road, it will change.
As in an increase?
I would expect so.
Right. And so you did say this one line item, 5160, is funded at about 46%. About how much would we need to bring that up 4 percentage points to 50%?
Actually, that's the 46%. That's what's going into the trust fund.
OPEB you're talking about?
Mm-hmm.
46% funded.
Yeah, it's only that 46% funded. I don't know how you would determine what that number would be.
Is that an actuarial determination?
I'm sorry, Representative Evan?
That,
No, Gothier has the floor.
I know, I thought she said point of order.
No, she offered a number, I think.
Sorry.
Apologies.
I'm wary of taking a guess because that might be an actuarial calculation versus me whipping out the calculator and just kind of doing something to get to 50%. I think there's other factors that are taken into account to arrive at that number.
Do we have a ballpark, maybe? I'm just thinking, it looks like, we haven't increased it significantly from the past few years, and
Right.
I'd hate to keep riding this account at 46%. I'd actually really like to see us be in a more stable position here. I know that the RTM can't increase this number, but it's good to know kind of information. So nothing that needs to be known tonight, but thank you.
Okay.
Representative Thomas.
Just to follow up on that line of questioning, just overall, in talking with the actuary, what is the projected, when would this be at a percentage that would pay out? How many years, roughly speaking?
I'd have to check if they even put that in the report at this point with 46%. I can check.
Okay. Yeah, maybe, again, moving forward, that would be good information to have
Okay.
as part of the report, so we know where the goalposts are.
My apologies. Representative Gustafson, you had asked to speak.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I just want to correct the record. I think you had said I had seconded that first number. I did not. Somebody behind me had seconded it.
Chino? No?
Who seconded the first number? Representative Bright?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Representative Bright.
Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Weaver.
Just out of curiosity to follow up in Representative Thomas's comment and Representative Scott's comment, I was just wondering, what is the current interest rate that's being earned on the $27 million?
We reduced to 7%, I believe, the discount rate.
She's talking about.
That's just
Yeah. I would have to look at the latest report from ICMA. It fluctuates just like, all other, and right now with what's going on, I would hesitate to even guess what the market is, what the interest rate is, but it's not a fixed rate. It is a trust fund, and they handle the investments for us. So would you like me to try to get a number for you?
Could you guesstimate based on the prior year?
No, I don't have that report in front of me, I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you.
Representative Thomas.
Just a quick follow-up. If you could get the report together and send it out to the RTM, that would be greatly appreciated, just so we get a better understanding of how this thing is supposed to work.
Okay.
Also, I'm curious to know, just historically speaking, when was this account started? You mentioned. How long ago?
Yeah, do we have it in here?
No, I don't have it historically.
Do you
Well,
want that in?
on page 87, GASB 45 came out in 2004.
Okay.
And that required us to disclose the information. I don't know, I remember when it was set up, but I'm sorry, I don't have the year. I wasn't the finance director, so I don't know what actual year we set up the trust fund.
That's fine, thank you. Just one other historical question. Has this account ever, how did this account fare during the crash of 2008? Did it withstand that blow, or did it collapse?
I have no idea. I'd have to look at that. I'd have to look at the reports back then. Again, I wasn't the finance director, and I wasn't that involved in this.
Okay.
But the one thing I would like to note is, as we all know, what happened with the market last year in 21, and you can see at the bottom of 87 how our unfunded liabilities, because we did earn a significant amount of money in this fund, had decreased because it increased from the 23 million to the 27 million. Just wanted to point that out. But right now, I have no idea what could happen as of June 30th of this year. I mean, you see it all over the place. The interest rates are falling, and everyone's taking a hit.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I mean, just speaking in generally, like to have like some kind of report sent out. Like,
Sure.
So I would like to know more about like the whole span of the history of this thing, because.
But we do have. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just saying in general, like it'd be good to have the historical context. Thank you.
We do have I'm sorry.
Go ahead. You're fine.
We do have an interim and then a full evaluation every other year. We do have this evaluation done every year, whether it's full or interim.
And is that something that we could take a look at as the public?
I think that's what
Is that
the
on?
director would send to the RTM.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Representative Scott.
There's a lot of other answer questions on this item. I'd like to make a motion to set this item aside for Monday, May 9th meeting.
All right. So the motion on the floor is to postpone this vote until Monday, May 9th. Any more discussion on that item alone? Okay, all in favor of postponing the vote until Monday, May 9th, please say aye. Raise your hand if you are on Zoom.
Aye.
If you can raise your hand high if you're saying yes. So I have Representative Scott, Representative Bailey, Representative Whitney, Eben, Guampiero, Hanscom, Ivy, Frickman, Dean Shinbrot, Watson, Ray as all yeses. I have Representative Gardner, Representative Bright, Representative Adams, Wells, Thomas, Burrill. Is that a majority? I don't know how many we're up to. 1, 2,
3.
Oops, if you can keep your hand up if you're online, please. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 online.
Casper and Fritchie, how do you vote?
Casper and Watson, was it?
Casper.
No?
And Fritchie?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes?
Okay.
Okay, so I've got 8, 9, 10, 11. Powers, Kristen Powers, were you a no or a yes?
She's got a yes. She had a yes. Had a yes.
You were a yes? You are a no. Okay, so 1,
I can't. Yeah, this is just too much.
8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I've got 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Weaver, you were a no or a yes?
It was a yes.
20. I have 20 out of 36. All those opposed, raise your hand. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 opposed, 16, 17 opposed.
That's right.
17. That is 37. Guampiero?
Yeah, we got.
I think we have you twice.
Yep, I think we do too. No, this
No,
is,
it's a
no, it's a majority.
50%. Okay, so that will be moved
Yeah.
to Monday's May 9th. All right, I am going to take a recess until 8:55. Is that enough time? Okay, 8:55, please be back. Introduce yourself. I realize that not everybody knows everyone.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm LJ Pizarro, the Chief of Police for the town. I've got with me my Deputy Chief, Paul Gately, and Captain Greg McCarthy, and James G.
Okay. Representative Brill.
Okay, the RTM Public Safety Committee met April 19th, 2022 at 7:05. We were at the Town Hall Annex. Okay, committee members present were myself, Chairman, Representative Adams, Representative Thomas, Representative Bailey, and Representative Hanscom. We also present were members of the Town of Groton, the Town of Groton Police Department, the City of Groton and their police department, and the Groton Long Point with their police department. The first item was account number 1024. A motion was made by Representative Adams for $9,522,086, seconded by Representative Bailey. The police chief at that time made his presentation on his budget. So at this time, I'd like to make the motion for item 1024 at $9,522,086.
Second, Adams.
Seconded by Adams. That is the number that was in the manager's budget, passed by the council and by the RTM committee. Any comments or questions? Representative Thomas. It's on.
Yeah, sorry. We'll have it. Thank you, Madam Moderator. Just to revisit a brief recap, how much of this, so historically this budget has been increasing steadily over the years. In my memory, we're now pretty much about $1 million over, I think, what it was in 2020 and 2019. Could we just speak a little bit to that trend and where some of those increases are coming from?
Sure. So back a couple of years ago, the two departments, or previously two departments, the police department as well as...
Yeah, barely.
You lean in real close.
Is that working?
There we go. Is that better? A couple of years ago, the
That's better.
police department and dispatch were separate entities. We operated in the same building, but we were two separate entities. The dispatch and emergency management were under one director. The police department was under the police chief and also comprised animal control. Those were merged, meaning the additional employees, the 13 employees that are part of the dispatch center are now part of the police department. All the associated costs. Back then, we had two disparate systems. When it came to emergency dispatch functions, we had a CAD system that was operated by dispatch. We had a different records management system operated by the police department. They didn't coincide. They didn't nest with one another, so the information was lost in the in-between, and it took a lot of effort on our officers' part to kind of get the information they needed into their reports. So fast forward a couple of years, we entered into a contract with another company that synthesized both of those two operations. So we have a company called NextGen now that is our vendor for both CAD and RMS. It also is being connected with our fingerprint system, AFIS, automated fingerprint system, where it inputs data. So we went from two different organizations to one. Another compounding interest, particularly of importance over the last 2 years, has been the police accountability bill. So there's been substantial increases in unfunded mandates that have gone on to the cities and towns in the state of Connecticut for things that are now mandatory. I know I came before this body and the town council in 2017 to, I came before the town council to talk about our body-worn cameras, which we've had employed since 2017. At that time, there was a contract in place with this company called Axon, but we also received reimbursement from the state of Connecticut in the form of a grant from the Office of Policy and Management to reimburse for some of the costs associated with these. So some of the costs you see now are the result of additional contracts. So the 5-year contract on this expired. Part of this budget and some of the substantial increases you've seen this year are due in part to this. We no longer have grants available for this. It is a requirement, no longer optional, but this is something that the cities and town and the state of Connecticut have to pay for. You'll also see in our capital improvement project another body-worn camera, or another camera element, which is the in-car cameras. That was previously not a requirement, but in the police accountability bill, that was a requirement. Some of the additional costs that you've also seen are increased training. We've incorporated additional training to go along with the laws that have been changed in the last 2 years. For our officers, we also provide them with crisis intervention training. So each of our officers, in fact, today, we've had officers at training all week long. We've also incorporated what we formerly called a social worker into the budget, which the RTM and the council passed last year. She is part of our team now. In fact, she's at crisis intervention training all week this week. Her name is Lorena Clark. She's been with us for about a month now. We've required to do CALIA, which is the Commission on Accreditation for Law Enforcement Agencies. That's a substantial cost, and I will tell you in the ensuing years, as we move towards CALIA accreditation by 2025, there'll probably be some infrastructure changes that are required in order for us to be compliant with CALIA. And I'm trying to think some of the other mandates that have happened over the last couple of years, but this year, you'll see a substantial increase in our budget that is directly related to body-worn cameras. Again, I think I told the Public Safety Committee as well as the Council, it's no longer a nice-to-have, it's a must-have. So these are requirements that are prescribed by law, as well as some psychological training that each of our officers have to undergo. When they are first brought into employment in law enforcement, there's a pre-employment psychological evaluation that's done. Now it's a requirement every 5 years. So we have to send them to a psychologist or a psychiatrist for an evaluation every 5 years. And it rotates, yeah. We try to piece it up based on when people came onto the department and when they're retiring, so we make sure we get them on the 5-year intervals. And the other part is, as each officer in the state of Connecticut is required to be post-certified, and post is the Police Officer Standards and Training Council. Every 3 years, you're credentialed as a police officer in Connecticut, and there's mandatory training that you have to undergo in that 3-year period. But before you're re-credentialed as a police officer, you have to undergo a drug test, and that was part of the police accountability bill as well. So, you know, the bulk of our expenses are directly tied to some of the programs that were not only put in place by law here in the state of Connecticut, but some certainly best practices. We've updated our policies, something that's in Deputy Chief Gately's charge, and we've used some of the advice and input that we've gotten from the court committee to incorporate some things that they've suggested as well. And we've certainly tried to stay on top of things that are mandated by law and policy, and make sure that we provide services to the town that are suitable and what you expect. More than suitable, I should say, that are superior in what you expect. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you, Chief. Just a quick follow-up. Historically, the Board of Education has had times where they've been challenged by the town council or the community to do a 0%, kind of like just to hold themselves steady for year after year. Do you anticipate being able to do that at some point in the next year or so, with like once we get to absorb all the costs and all the new requirements and all the new equipment and the training? I understand that there's going to be a bit of an escalation there in order to get to the new threshold. But, you know, do you anticipate possibly being able to, you know, get to that sort of, you know, to hold it for a little while?
Sure. I'd love to tell you yes. I'd love to say yes. We understand, you know, I have to balance a budget at work. I also have to balance it at home and make sure that increasing in expenses doesn't take place. But we're dealing in a financially constrained environment right now. Inflation is pretty high. The bulk of our expenses are personnel costs. As you can see in the budget in front of you, it's people. And associated with those people are collective bargaining agreements. Those are, you know, right now we've seen, you know, we're entering into collective bargaining with at least one of the unions in the police department. We will be entering into others. Given inflation, I'd like to say we could do that. I think that would be disingenuous. I think that maybe we're going to see continued increases across the board, not just in the police department. But I do appreciate and understand that there's an interest in being fiscally responsible and making sure that we deliver services that are expected at a you know, a reasonable price. But I can't assure you there will be zero increases, but I can assure you that we only ask for those things that we require for the department to make sure that we're delivering our services and making sure that public safety here in the town of Groton is delivered in a way that keeps everybody safe and does it in a fiscally responsible way.
Representative Evan.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Thank you, Chief Casaro. I had a question. Last year when we did the budget, we added 2 new positions. One was for a civilian social worker, and the other was a community policy officer that was going to be embedded, like a social worker. And I see that, although I thought we funded that last year, I don't see that that position filled. And I was curious why and where the cost savings.
Sure.
Hasn't been filled yet.
No, I think you're referring to the second community policing officer. So yes, we had the social worker, which we renamed as the public safety community outreach specialist to give a more global approach to some of the things that she'll be doing. You're correct in the sense that we were unable to fill the community policing officer. I can tell you, and I think my colleagues from the city of Groton as well as Groton Long Point will tell you the same thing. It's increasingly difficult to get candidates for law enforcement jobs today. And I think that's a direct reflection of a couple of things, maybe to a lesser extent the economy, but certainly there's apprehension in some of the folks that we're interviewing as far as being police officers. So we have not been able to recruit to the extent that we want to. We are actively recruiting, as is every other city and town in eastern Connecticut, and I would argue probably throughout these United States, trying to get the best candidates that's suitable for the communities that we serve, but also that are able to meet the requirements we have in policing. So it's a challenge, but you are correct. No, we did not. We were unable to fill that despite our best efforts. And I will tell you that we'll continue to try and fill that. But my priority is to make sure that our patrol function is done first. So the positions that will be filled first are patrol, to make sure that our officers right now that are working a considerable amount of overtime because of other shortages and making sure that people get time off. I want to make sure that they're relieved first.
Can I just interrupt?
Sure.
I'm sorry, we can chat about that in a second, but I'm just curious, so are there savings from that position that isn't filled? I would assume that since there was money allocated in last year's budget and it wasn't filled, there would be a savings in this year's budget from the lack of hiring a position in that.
I guess you could call it savings, yeah. Well, there's money that we haven't spent yet, but it's not the end of the year. But no, that position hasn't been filled. But
what happens to that money then? What will happen to that money?
That will go back to the town.
General fund.
That goes back to the general fund. So any revenue or any funds that we don't have that are unexpended go back to the town.
Okay, so it's not reflected though as a decrease in this budget since you're still trying to fill that position. Is that correct?
That's correct.
I see also that there was a raise given to the community outreach specialist, and I see that position was at $32,879 last year, and now it's at $67,661.
That is incorrect.
What's the salary of that person, basically?
No, that is incorrect. The original salary that was approved, when we first, when the concept first came up, we put, initially when I proposed it to the council, or when the council brought it up, and we looked into it, it was a $50,000, flat $50,000 salary. What we did since that time, we went back, we did a job description, along with human resources, and we put it into the town's pay plan. So it went into a mark that is, and I don't remember what it is off the top of my head, but it went into a part of that pay plan, so there was a commensurate pay increase for that position, which at that time was unfilled, and that was approved by the town council for that pay plan.
So that person got a $17,000 raise.
No, they didn't. They weren't hired at the time. It was before we were able to hire them, we had to do a job description. When that initial earmark was put in last year, that was not part of the package that was done. There was no job description. We since did an analysis, consulted with other communities that have similar positions, and we put it at a pay plan or a pay point that was more competitive given the nature of the work they were going to do. So we put it into an existing pay plan here in the town of Groton, tried to compare it with other positions that we have, and that wasn't a raise. It was eventually put into the salary that the person was hired at.
Okay, so the $32,000 you're saying was a mistake?
That's the estimate for the cost this year from since they were hired, because they weren't hired very long ago. So that's just what we're going to actually expend this year.
I understand what you're saying now. That wasn't that's what the cost estimate for this year is, yes.
I also want to ask about the overtime, which has really been just marching upwards every year. It's now at $784,267. And, just in 2021, it was at $661,000. What's going on there?
I'll let him answer a second, but I will say we've studied it a couple times. When you have openings, you actually spend more on overtime than you do on the original position. So so it's much better. Having the lack of people is way worse than having the people for cost.
Yeah, consider this, for every hour that we don't have a police officer in a position or a dispatcher, and over the last year and a half, we've lost several dispatchers because they've retired. They were with the town and served for 25, 30 years and plus in some cases. So we lost several dispatchers, several police officers through retirement. And when those positions aren't filled, instead of paying at their straight time salary, which is, let's say for round figures, $20 an hour, we pay at time and a half to replace those individuals. So it may be $30 an hour. So they're inversely proportional. When staffing goes down, overtime goes up. And unfortunately, it goes up higher because of the collective bargaining agreements. If you're working overtime, and quite frankly, our officers and dispatchers, there are times they're working overtime and they don't want to be working overtime. They'd rather be at home with their families or doing other things. But as part of their service, they obviously have to work at when they sometimes don't want to.
Thank you.
Can I ask a clarifying question to that? Is overtime part of retirement then? So the more overtime you have, the more your retirement will be?
Some of it is. Construction is not, but what we have in the collective bargaining agreement is there's a cap on that. So unlike other organizations where it's unlimited overtime that may contribute to your retirement for post-employment benefits, the town does not do that. It's capped. You can only make, I believe it's $20,000. You can work as much as you want, but only $20,000 will count towards it. So if you're making $60,000 a year for your pay and you work and you earn $150,000 that year, just again making round figures, the only part that counts for post-employment benefits is that $20,000. So it would be calculated on an $80,000 basis.
Thank you. We have a number of people with their hands raised. Representative Powers was the first one I saw.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Chief, how many people are we short in the department?
Right now, we have 4 dispatch openings and 7 police officers.
Okay, and in the near future, with the things going the way they are with the boat and everything else, are we going to need to put more people on staff?
I would like to be at full staff, and I know our officers would like to be too. It's a constant discussion because even as recently as today, talking with one of the lieutenants that was doing scheduling, it's becoming a challenge, right?
And as we said before, if we had the right staffing levels, the budget would be increased anyway due to the staffing levels, but it may decrease the overtime budget, correct?
That is the goal, yes.
And what are we doing as far as giving guys time off that need time off? Like, do we have people that just go out, that have to go out because they're stressed out or because of COVID?
What we do is, unlike some other departments, our officers, we try not to order them in on their days off. What we do is if there's a requirement to fill a shift, we'll hold an officer over for half a shift, and we'll call another officer in early for half a shift to try and give them that time off. And I went to an officer wellness thing back in March, and that was an important component of is ensuring that people get the time to decompress, that they go out and they do things that they enjoy to do outside of police work. We work tirelessly, and again, I think if you talk to Chief Jenkins, he'll tell you the same thing, and Chief Knowles will tell you the same thing. We want our officers to have their time off. We don't want to order them in. We don't want them working more than really is required. That's why we try to keep the staffing. But we also want to provide public safety services, and I don't think it should be any surprise to anybody in the room. Watch the news and what's going on. I think Groton is well policed, well protected by the agencies that serve it, but yet crime is increasing across the board, and we want to make sure that doesn't happen here. We want to provide adequate public safety services to make sure that we keep the community safe.
Well, I thank you for you and all of the service people, in this department, because it's a godsend that you're here. Thank you.
Thanks.
trying to remember who was Representative Norman.
Hi, sorry, this is my first time
Can
at
you
this.
stand up, please?
It's for the camera.
Standing up, yes, and then I can't read as well. Can you just talk to me a little bit? I'm looking at that line around overtime, but then there's the longevity pay, the shift replacement overtime, the premium pay, out of C. What is out of C?
Out of
stand for?
class.
Out
Pay
of class. Yeah, and then the shift premium, like all of those numbers adding up to, I think, a pretty substantial. Can you talk to me about what each of those things is?
Some of those are part of the collective bargaining agreement. So if someone's working an off shift, the shift premium would be the money they get to work, the 65 cents an hour for the evenings. Yeah, for evenings and midnight shift. And I look, that's my phone a friend. That's Captain B. He helps us put the budget together. So he's our most seasoned officer in the department. But tell me the other ones you were looking at as well.
Yeah, the longevity pay, so the shift premium you said, the premium pay out of, what?
Sure, you're looking at
And the shift
5105 longevity pay. Some officers that have been with the agency for a long time do get longevity. Not everyone does. That
And
stop,
so that's separate from like the collective bargaining raise. There's like a
Correct.
or is that
Correct.
part of the collective bargaining?
It's part of the collective bargaining agreement, but it's not part of their raise. They get, if they've had over 10 years, they may get X amount of dollars more. It is codified.
To make it clear,
Sure.
certain ones. To make it clear, though, it's been phased out at this point, but you have people
You have some
grandfathered
people
in.
who
Yeah.
legacy. Okay, and then the shift replacement OT.
Shift replacement is that overtime. So if we have a shift that's vacant, if Officer X calls in sick because they've got COVID or they're ill, we call in another officer to replace them. So that's shift replacement. The other overtime is overtime if, for instance, I was out on patrol and I arrested a DUI operator at the end of my shift and I had to do the report to get them off to court in the morning, then I would be staying after my shift. That would be regular overtime. So shift replacement is just that, replacing someone on a shift. Or if we call in detectives on the weekend to do, if we have a significant crime and they need to come in and investigate it, they'll get that other overtime as well.
So where you're not fully staffed right now, would it be that if you were fully staffed, all of the shift replacement overtime would likely be gone, but not the regular overtime? Because that seems to be towards the end of the shift.
I hate this phrase, but it's true. It is a cost of doing business. There is always overtime. It spikes, obviously, when your staffing is short. But if we were fully staffed and an officer made an arrest, or we had a homicide, or we had a significant crime that were investigated, or we were doing DUI enforcement and we made a bunch of arrests, there would be overtime associated with that. And the other part of this is what we try to do is build a schedule if we have sufficient people so that there's extra people on a shift. So if there's, I'm going to use a round figure, but if there's 10 cars on a shift, and we don't run with 10 cars on a shift, we might build a schedule so there was maybe 12 cars or 13 so that people could take time off. They could go to training. They could take vacation, all that sort of stuff. If they got sick, it wouldn't immediately incur overtime. Does that make sense? Usually that's the way you plan for police, fire, EMS. You don't have the minimum amount of people on a shift because you'll automatically have to pay overtime if one of those people takes a day off or gets hurt or gets involved in something where they're out of work for a while. You'll immediately incur overtime. So you try to build a little bit on top of that. Right now we're at a position where we don't have that luxury. We are, the shifts are staffed basically at bare bones, and it does require us to use some overtime from time to time, and officers are entitled to vacations, and they do get sick, and that's kind of, I hope I've painted a picture as to why the overtime happens, but we run a 24/7 operation, so there's always somebody working.
Got it. I understand. And then I think my second one was in the summary, it said a multi-use vehicle.
I don't think that survived the, that didn't make it this far.
Oh, got it. So it's there, but it's not here. I was looking at, okay.
That's
Thank
right.
you.
All right, anyone else?
Yeah, town manager redlined that one.
I'm just giving you a notice. It is 9:21, 9:22. Okay. Yes. Representative Gardner.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Chief, one question on the community-oriented policing. In 2021, the cost was $101,000. and in projected 2023, it's 417. Could you speak to that for a minute?
Yeah, that's where we kind of right-size thing. That also incorporates our school resource officers, so it's all those salaries. It's got the social worker. All those are into that. So originally it was just one person. We kind of put them in the categories they're supposed to be in.
Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Gardner, or Gauthier. I think you had your hand up.
Yes, so talking a little bit more about recruitment, how can Groton be more competitive to get these folks in? Is it a matter of pay? Is it a matter of benefits, lifestyle? What's going on? Right, so if they can increase the pay in order to recruit officers, we could increase your budget.
So your point, we can't increase the budget.
We can't increase.
So
we can't, but
we
the council
cannot
can.
increase the budget.
So it's for information.
It's not relevant right now,
Okay.
so I'm going to
Well,
take
thank
that
you.
point.
But he'll answer
Representative
quickly.
Weaver?
I was just curious, due to COVID and the overtime is such a substantial amount of the budget, obviously, the one statistic that would probably be really helpful in here is how many calls and how many, has it increased, the volume increased due to COVID and people being at home and the rate of domestic violence incidents increasing?
I don't have, I maybe could give you some anecdotal information, but I don't have statistics of that. I can tell you when COVID first hit, universally in law enforcement, things fell off the map, right? That police officers, we had these conversations internally. How do you respond to calls for service? How do you protect the force, right? How do you protect your personnel that are going out there? Fire service, we had meetings with them, with EMS, as to how we were going to dispatch people because we really didn't know what risks we were facing. So we, along with many other departments, made a conscious decision that there were things that we were going to try and curtail that would maybe be more force protection measures, that we would protect our officers by, trying not to do as much motor vehicle enforcement, and quite frankly, people weren't out on the road as much. I will say that we're, in many senses, law enforcement here in Connecticut is kind of paying the price for it right now. I don't know if anybody drove here today on any of the highways, but I've heard a lot of complaints about speeding cars, not just here in town, but outside of town. So I think people became complacent because there weren't as many traffic stops. But we did have officers that were exposed. We had officers that still responded to domestic violence incidents or went to other calls for service that were exposed to other individuals. I can think of one incident where we have multiple officers exposed at the scene of a commercial burglary, and so there was some. Was there an impact? Yes. Do I have direct data to give you right now? I do not.
I guess I should clarify because there were so many people homebound.
Yep.
It was probably, I was going to say, were there more calls? Was there a larger call volume because there were more people homebound?
If you have a point of order, you just say it.
Point of order.
Yes.
We're discussing the budget tonight, not policy
Agreed.
and recruitment.
Agreed.
We're never going to get through this if we don't.
Tighten up.
Representative Frickman has his hand up.
Yeah, I was actually going to call a point of order, mostly because Representative Gauthier, and I believe, I wasn't sure if she was proposing or asking for an increase, but Madam Moderator, you mentioned we couldn't increase, but I was under the understanding based on the charter that we could with the 2/3 vote.
We cannot raise it above what the highest number is. So if the town manager number is higher than what the town council proposes, we can raise it back up to the town manager's number, and vice versa. If the town manager's number is lower than the town council's number, we can raise it up. We can raise it up to the town council's number, but we cannot raise it above those two numbers.
Right. Okay, thank you for the clarification.
You're welcome. Representative Thomas.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I would like to move a number. I'd like to move $9,294,720.
Okay, and can you explain your motion?
We'll
I need a second. Representative Gauthier.
Yeah, so looking at the increase that was requested, we're looking at a 5% increase in the budget, and just kind of looking over the numbers. thinking just splitting the difference on that and doing a lesser increase of about 2.5%. Just because, we are trying to find some savings, and, we're looking at all the departments, and, I think it's just due diligence to consider that. Thank you.
Representative Merritt?
Are these decreases supposed to be pointed towards line items or just in general?
It's in general, but you can explain why you are asking for that number. But you can't direct the department head, the chief here, to which way he's going to cut. So if that number went down to that amount, he would have to work within that number to figure out how he was going to make cuts.
That doesn't make sense to me, but that was my question.
All right, Representative Jacome.
Testing. Okay. Through you, Madam Moderator, I just want to ask the proponent, is it just a flat 2.5% increase, or is there an actual reason for it?
Again, we were asked by the town manager to look at all the departments critically and try to propose moderate decreases in order to decrease the overall number of the town's budget. So I'm just trying to be even-handed with that. Earlier tonight I proposed other cuts, and I'm just proposing another cut. No, that's not even a cut. This is like just a lesser increase. It's just like lowering the spike. That's all. And just a quick question, side note for the town manager. I don't have the numbers in front of me. Just curious to know what percentage of the budget overall, of the overall town budget, is the police budget?
I do not have.
Like a piece of pie?
Director Landry, do you know what percentage it is? She's going to look. While she is looking, are there any other comments and questions? Representative Massett hasn't spoken yet.
Madam Moderator, thank you. This is for the chief. I noticed that you zeroed out major events. Is that like...
That's not something we budget for. It's something we put, so if we have a major event, then we put that in that line item. Okay. It's not something we necessarily budget for. I'll give you an example. Like if, say, the President of the United States were visiting, right, and they came in, we would put it in that line so we can track it.
Okay, thank you.
Representative Gauthier.
So this challenge to your budget, about $227,000, is this something that you think you could take the challenge on, say, overtime or any of those items, or do you think that this might be something that we could overcome if you were able to get some positions filled in those overtime increases?
I presented a budget that I thought was what we needed. We'd have to look at some of the things. I mean, we've just put a social work or public safety support specialist into our organization. Obviously, that would be something I'd have to relook at, and there'd be things that we are required by law to do. So those are things that are non-negotiable. Those are things that we'd have to. And our officers get paid.
If we had to, I would hazard to guess we would cut the overtime, and then we have to spend what we have to spend. So we would potentially, if we fill them, then possibly okay, and if not, we would come back for a fourth quarter transfer.
Representative Chase.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Chief, I'm going to say a couple things, and you please correct me if I'm wrong. But there's about $2.5 million that you have to work with for everything that you need for your department after salaries that are unfunded mandates, because you have about $7 million for salaries, correct?
You're going to make me do public math, huh?
I did it for you.
I think it's less than that. I think the operational budget is far less than that.
Well, if you want the real number, it's $2,494,168 that you have to work with to get everything that you need to run that department, including unfunded mandates, and your staff is low. Am I right? And if you decrease that, it's just going to put you in another bind, correct?
Yeah, our operating budget, and town managers confirmed this, is $810,000. That's all the, forgive the phrase, the beans and bullets.
810, yes.
Yeah.
Got you, okay. That's
rest
all
is
you have to
salaries.
work with for all the unfunded mandates and everything else.
Correct. Correct.
And you're down people.
Yes, ma'am.
So
Can you give me
can't
that number
afford to
one more
take a
time?
cut.
810,000, thank you.
Yes, 810, got it. Okay, my math wasn't good tonight. So am I right? So you're gonna be hurting if you get a cut?
Yes.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions or comments? Representative Thomas, you've already spoken twice,
I
but
was just wondering if we got information from Cindy on that question?
she's still calculating. At this point, I'm going to move the vote forward, and hopefully we can get that number for you as we go. The number on the table currently is $9,294,720. All in favor, please raise your hand. I have Representative Thomas, Representative Wells, and Representative Eben. Is there anybody else online that I am missing? Okay.
Nope,
Oh,
Whitney.
and Representative Whitney. All opposed, please raise your hand. So I have, and myself. Representative Ivy. Impero. Okay, so that is 32. We have 4 yeses, 32 noes. Any abstentions? That is everyone. So that motion fails. So the new motion on the table is $9,522,086. If the people on Zoom can please clear their hands.
But they maybe want to talk, I don't know.
Representative Casper?
Nope.
Okay. So $9,522,086 for account 1024. All in favor, please say aye. Or raise your hand. Aye. If you can raise your hands, please, just in the room also. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Norman, are you up or down? 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22.
Representative Ray is up, okay.
21. Representative Frickman, Casper, Eben, Hanscom, Guerrero, Scott, Ivy, Bailey, Whitney, Dean Shinbrot, Ray, Watson. I already said Eben, correct?
Yep.
Okay. All opposed? All abstaining? Representative Thomas, I don't have a vote for you.
Oh, yeah, I'm abstaining.
Okay. So it is 35 yes, 0 no, 1 abstention. That motion passes. Okay. Next up, CIP 7F, squad cars and body cams, found on page 238.
Yes, CIP.
Moderator, I have to step away from the meeting. Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you, Representative Scott.
Are you coming back?
I am not.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Well, that's on the back. I don't know if you want to give it to the moderator.
The CIP 7F, the motion was made for $66,000 by Representative Adams, and seconded by Representative Bailey. We had a presentation by the town police chief about this item. After that, we had to vote on the item. We had it voted 5 in favor, 0 opposed, 0 abstaining. At this time, I'd like to make a motion for CIP 7F for $66,000.
Second Adams.
We have a motion in the amount of $66,000, seconded by Adams. Any discussion? Representative Gauthier.
Thank you. Is any of this reimbursable by the state or can be covered by a grant?
Not at this time. We can look at any grant that would provide any benefit to the town. We would have to pay for this in advance. So the possibility exists in the future we can apply, but I don't want to offer that but we can't do that until after we have them.
And this isn't one of the like police accountability bill
It is.
things that can be reimbursed from the state?
No, well, the state, there was no fiscal note attached with any of the police accountability bill for municipalities. In fact, a lot of those were zeros. It was cost passed on to the cities and town.
Thank you.
Just for clarification, this was the town manager's budget and the same number for the council and the committee. Any other questions or comments? Representative Jacome, what's next up? Sorry.
Yeah, I'll just ask quickly, this was something mandated by the police accountability bill, correct?
That's right, and this is the second year of the CIP. So the RTM and the council funded this last year. We're paying for the squad car cameras over 5 years. So this is the second year of that. It is a mandate. It is something we're required to do.
And also, I believe you said Captain B negotiated the best prices he could, correct?
Yes, I wouldn't want to buy a car from him.
I would urge support. Thank you.
Representative Thomas.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I just want to speak in support of this CIP. I believe it's a good use of money. It is unfortunate that the police accountability bill did not provide funding from the state level, and I do empathize with you on that and the department, and I share your frustrations. There's a lot of things I think it'd be good to have the support from the state on that, and I'm just, this may not be germane, but maybe looking in the future, are there any actions underway to try to create some state funding? Through petitions, through any sort of lobbying efforts?
We have a very, in fact, earlier tonight, I was in communication with our lobbyists for the Police Chiefs Association, but I would submit to you that there maybe isn't a strong interest in funding it, but I hope that would change. I would suggest that either this elected body go to our elected representatives and maybe suggest that for the future, but right now there isn't any money attached to it. There are grants that have been around for years. Like I said, we took advantage of the body-worn camera grant. There are some grants that we can look at applying for subsequent to getting them. But yeah, I would also, there's a lot of things that were in that bill that maybe if there was a funding stream to cities and towns to say, this is what we want, this is the state of Connecticut's mandate, we want you to be CLIA accredited, we want you to be, have all this testing, we want you to have body cameras and in-car cameras, maybe some additional funding streams, I think we'd all welcome them.
Yeah. Thank you. It's just looking in general, if there was some funding for the mandates coming from the state, would you then possibly anticipate maybe that 0%?
Sure, if stuff
is a little bit more achievable?
Yeah, if things that were paid for by the state that the town didn't have to pay for, that would obviously offset some of the costs that we have to the town.
Perhaps that's something we could work together on.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay, seeing no further comments or questions.
She did have her hand up, but she took it down. I don't know what happened.
I'm moving we're moving the number of $66,000. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Okay, online I have Representative Bailey, Hanscom, Eben, Frickman, Whitney, Casper, Guinipiero, Ivy, Ray, Dean Shinbrot, Watson, all yeses. Is there anyone who is opposed? Any abstentions? Seeing none, that moved 34 to 0. Next up, CIP 7J, police speed display devices on page 240.
Yeah, CIP 7J. A motion was made by Representative Adams for $21,000, seconded by Representative Bailey. We had some discussion, we had presentation from the chief, answered questions on the items. At this time, Representative Thomas made a motion for $0, but didn't receive a second. So we moved on to the initial motion of $21,000. We had our vote, and it was passed 4-1 to 0. At this time, I'd like to make a motion for CIP 7J at $21,000.
Second, Adams.
Okay, the amount is $21,000, seconded by Adams. For CIP 7J, any comments? Representative Eben. Representative Eben?
Sorry, I had my hand raised from voting.
Okay.
Sorry.
Councilor Bordelon?
Hi, thank you. Good evening. As an ex officio member, unfortunately, I missed the CIP vote. missing the first vote ever for me in the last 5 years.
Can't talk about
Okay.
that.
Due
Can
to
we-
a death in the family.
We can't.
Counselor
Looking at this
Bordelon, I'm going to ask that you please speak to the number.
Thank you, moderator ISIM. Thank you. Let me finish.
We don't know. Did you take?
I stated that I missed the CIP, and I'm speaking to the number that's on the floor. I think this is a great thing to fund in retrospect, but looking at the broad picture of things that we're funding, looking at the increase, did the number come out from the finance director as to what percent we're increasing of the whole budget for the police budget this year?
She just sent it to me.
Oh, okay.
With the
Well,
town.
did she calculate that yet? Because it has yet to come out. I've been watching the whole meeting and I haven't heard it yet.
Yeah, she just sent it to me. Just like
Oh,
1
what
minute
is that
ago.
number then, Mr.
Hold
Town
on.
Manager?
Hold on. Let him speak. He's trying to talk.
6.7% of the town council's budget is public safety.
Right, 6.7% of the town council's budget. I'm all for police accountability. I'm all for funding police. I'm all for all of that as a criminal justice major myself. But I think that if we're going to make cuts throughout the town budget, we need to make them accordingly. At 21,000 for this speed things, it's a nice feature to have, but is it a must-have? Is there something you guys can do without? So my question is to the chief: if we had to not budget this item, would it be a thing that you could do without?
We put this together.
Hold on. Let him answer the question, please.
We can't fund it at 100%.
Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, we put this in as a result of many concerns that are voiced to the traffic authority. Myself and the town manager comprise the traffic authority. We have one device that we use. I can tell you every traffic authority meeting we have complaints about traffic and speed issues on roads throughout the town. So this was in response to that. Many of your constituents have voiced concerns to us. What can we do? We do enforcement. This is part of the education component of it. I don't know if someone's waving at me or at you.
Representative Ray, I see you, and we'll get to you in just 1 second.
She's leaving.
Oh, you're
So
leaving?
my question is,
Okay.
could you do without it? I mean, I understand that people want it, but is it a must-have in this budget session, considering we're giving you everything you asked for otherwise?
Yeah, I mean, if you're asking, would we survive? We'll survive, but I will tell you that it is something that's of interest to people. Every other month when we have a traffic authority meeting, we have tried to deploy this, and it's a useful tool. It does provide some measure of safety to certain cities, certain roads in the town, so it's something quite useful.
Representative.
I'm just going to add, usually we're.
Useful, but we could
Hold on.
do without
The
it.
town manager is speaking. 1 second.
I was going to say, like Chief Fasaro said, we have many requests, and typically those requests aren't just plain and simple speeding. It's because there's sightline issues and safety issues. And this, if you keep this out long enough, followed up by enforcement, then what it does is teaches a new pattern of driving slowly. So I think it's a force multiplier. You get a lot more out of it than what you pay.
And I did, if I may clarify something too, I did provide, and I didn't have this with me, I apologize for the public safety meeting. I did provide the chair as well as the moderator a copy of what we did get from the company for the proposal. Originally, the number was a little bit confusing as to what we were asking for, but it was 6 of these units. So I did provide them with the actual quote as well as a little, you probably can't see it online, but a little diagram of what these do. You've probably seen them elsewhere in some communities where it's affixed to a stationary object, and people see that on the side of the road.
So if we waited 1 year to postpone this, what would that really change?
It would be a year later before they got deployed.
Right. I think it's important, though, as other departments take cuts, that we look at all ways that we can look at cost savings. I think so far what has passed has been a very a wealthy budget for the police section, and I think it's important that we make sure every department is treated the same. And I think this is an item that could be cut for 1 year. It's not a major intersection. It's a secondary road, and I think it's something we should look at. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Casper, or Representative Casper.
Excuse me.
Representative Ray, you were next in line.
I thought she was leaving.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I would like to speak to this in the fact that I would like to support the original number posted forward. I live in an area and have many constituents in an area of high traffic. We had multiple incidents where we almost had pedestrians, including a woman with a stroller and 2 children, that were almost hit because of excessive speed. We have seen a dramatic decrease now that we have the sign, the blinky sign. I don't know which one that is. So I am going to move for this because honestly, if it saves one life, to me, it's worth $21,000.
Thank you, Representative Ray. Representative Casper, you have your hand up.
Yes, thank you, Madam Moderator. As one of the neighborhoods that has requested the radar display, I think this is what the town residents are wanting. I mean, it's almost anyone I talk to, they wish they had one on their street. Almost everybody believes that people are driving through their neighborhood. And I think this is probably the number of 6 units would make a substantial difference in the town for getting people to become aware of.
Representative Casper, we're having a really hard time hearing you.
Talk into your microphone.
Pardon, I didn't hear you.
We were having a really hard time hearing you at the very end.
I'm all finished, yes.
Okay, thank you. Representative Ivy.
I'm going to be very quick, I promise. I just want to say, although I'm new to all this, that after the, this is regarding the specific argument of cutting anything. After the past couple of years we've been through as an entire nation, I think it'd be abhorrent to cut anything from the police budget. And I fully support every amount that we can offer to the police. So I will be voting for what was originally proposed by the town council.
Thank you. Representative Frickman.
Well, that takes a vote of 2/3 of the body. You really want to do that? Is there anybody
Who
else?
just said move the question?
Yeah, she did.
Okay. To move the question, we need a 2/3 vote. So if you can put your hand down, Representative Frickman.
He was probably going to move too.
Well, I had my hand up before. I don't know if it was about before.
Yeah,
she
no,
asked the
but
question, but
It's true. That's true. He gets to speak.
But she moved a vote, which is not debatable. We need to.
Okay, all right.
She also wasn't recognized.
You don't have to be recognized to make a point.
No, that was a procedure point, which she can, there wasn't anybody talking, so she's allowed to make that procedure,
Okay.
to call a vote.
So we need a 2/3 vote to move the vote. So all in favor, please say aye. Or raise your hand, actually, if you don't mind. Online, we have Frickman, Ivy, Ray, Watson. Hold on, let me keep a handsome. Ivy, Frickman, Ray, Watson, Dean Shinbrot. Did I miss anybody? Ivy.
Bailey.
And Bailey. Okay, that's 8 online, and then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, so 25, that is 2/3. All right.
We're going to take a roll call of this.
So the roll call, we're going to, no.
No, 21, no, okay.
It's $21,000. All in favor, please raise your hand.
A minute, you didn't call for no's. Who's voting against calling the question?
It's okay, I know, it's okay.
Point of order is right. Finish the vote.
Okay, sorry. So we have
Point of order.
17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25 in favor. All opposed? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 online being Frickman.
Nope.
Casper.
Nope. Casper.
I'm sorry, Casper, Eben, and Whitney.
That's 3.
And then 1,
You said 7.
2, 3. I'm sorry, if the people online are in the 1, 2, 3, 4, so 4, 5, 6, 7. So 25 to 7, any abstain?
This isn't that, it's not all of us.
I have Representative Abbott, you, okay, and the 0 abstains. So that motion passes 25-7 to 0. We are moving the number of $21,000. All in favor, please raise your hand.
2 people.
1, 2. So online, for $21,000, I have Representative Bailey, Frickman, Guimpiero, Hanscom, Whitney, Casper, Ivy, Ray, Dean Shinbrot, Watson. Okay, in the room, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 in the room.
Those, I need to know their names.
All those opposed.
Names.
I have Thomas, Wells, V.C. Williams, and Eben. Anyone abstaining? So I have 29 in favor. I have 4 opposed. Are we down to 33 people?
Yes, we are at 34, unless somebody else left that didn't tell me.
So, point of clarification.
Yes.
Move the question vote was 32 individuals.
I know, it's 2 people didn't vote. Did you vote?
I did.
And so now, can we just know how many are present?
We have in the room 8.
We have 34 at present. 12 online.
12 online. And what did I say? 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 18, 19, 20.
I only lost 2 people.
22.
I only lost 2
So we have
people.
34 people.
I only see 11 online.
Okay. So 33 people, which would make our vote correct.
Oh, I found County Board. Sorry about that. 11. Councilor Borderline.
So we had 1 person who did not vote for
moving the question.
18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Correct. All right. So that motion passes in the amount of $21,000.
See who's here.
All right. Next up, we have City of Groton Police.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. The amount.
Chief?
33 is what I'm coming up with. 14, 15.
You want to be there? If we need you, we'll call you.
I'm going to have you both introduce yourself before the chair speaks, please.
Right now?
Yes, please.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Thank you, Representative Town Meeting representatives. I am Keith Hedrick. I'm the mayor of the City of Groton. And beside me is...
Good evening. My name is Eric Jenkins. I'm the Chief of Police with the City of Groton. Been the chief for approximately 11 months. So this will be my first budget to the RTM. Thank you.
Next item we covered was item 10900, the City of Groton PD. The motion was made for $2,845,568 by Representative Adams, seconded by Representative Hanscom. At this time, Mayor Hendrick made a presentation. He's trying to explain his budget to us. Chief was there for answering questions we had. We did take the vote, and the line item passed 4 to 1 to 0. At this time, I'd like to make a motion that we move $2,845,568.
$2,845,000, sorry.
568.
Thank you. And Adam seconded? Yeah. Correct. All right. Chief, would you like to give an overview of your budget, or do you guys want to go to questions? Overview? Yes.
My sheet is showing $5,683,553.
It's because it's
That is the
it's all
number for
combined.
all of the city of Groton, the highway, police, and the lights.
Yeah, you'd have to look at the breakout.
This is,
If you look at page 175, 176, you can see how it's,
this is the line item 10,900, not 1090.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
and that is the number that was passed by the council and recommended by the town manager.
So I'll start out.
You need the microphone.
Where is it?
Thank you, Mayor.
Sorry, thank you. Okay, I'll start out. For those of you that want to follow, I'm on page 56 of Appendix B. This is a letter that I sent to John Burt. It says, attached, please find a copy of the city's police budget for FYE 2023. The overall police budget for FY 2023 has increased by 5.7% over last year's budget. The increase is driven by personnel costs and benefits. The city is once again requesting the town of Groton the customary and traditional payment of 50% of the costs associated with providing public safety to our residents. The request of the town is calculated after the costs associated with the police chief have been subtracted. The FY 2023 funding request is $2,845,568, which was approved by the town council and was approved by the committee, Public Safety Committee, excuse me. We're also attaching for information purposes a copy of the city's capital improvement plan for FYE 2023 through FYE 2028 as it relates to the police department. We look forward to meeting with you to discuss the budget. So there's a couple things before I turn it over to the chief, is that for those of you that are new to the RTM, typically the department budgets that you see in front of you are O&M budgets, meaning operation and maintenance budgets. The budgets that you will see tonight from the city are fully loaded or fully burdened budgets, which means they have non-departmentals included, including insurance, OPEB, workers' comp, and those kinds of things. So in your overall budget, earlier tonight, you guys voted for OPEB and insurance and things like that, but that was the overall number for all the departments. So basically this number that is in front of you is the total number required to operate the police department. And with that, I'll turn it over to the chief.
Has everybody found it in your budget books? It's on page 56 under Appendix A. Thank you. Are there any specific questions? Or did you want to give an overview first?
I was just going to make sure everybody was in their spot before I spoke. Like the mayor said, this is a fully loaded budget. He pretty much explained everything it takes me to operate our police department is in this budget. The biggest cost in this year's budget is personnel costs and benefits. We have made steps to mitigate the unfunded mandates that the state has put on us to keep our budget down. My budget, before it gets to you, takes 4 steps. Takes to the mayor. The mayor will cut it if he feels it's too thick. Then I will go and readjust it. It'll go through the city council, at which point they will mitigate it as well, tell me what I need to trim or how I can trim it, and then it goes to the town council, and then the Public Safety Committee, the RTM, and then the full RTM. So it's gone through 4 steps, and I'm sure one thing that you will see is it did go up, but most of it's from personnel cost and benefits, like I said. And we did add 1 school crossing guard due to the fact that we have a elementary school back in the city again. So we have to make sure that the kids get across the street safely and they can go to school. With that, I can take questions instead of dragging this all out if you want. Same thing the mayor had said earlier.
Representative Eben.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Thank you. I'm just curious if you've ever, I know you're new, but if perhaps you, the mayor, or the former police chief have ever worked with the town police chief to see if there could be efficiencies and cost savings from perhaps using some of the same services. I don't know if dispatch would be one of them, but it's always really amazed me that we have 3 police departments in a town of like 38,000 people. And we just heard that 9% of the town budget is the town police, and this is just adding percentage points to that. And so I'm just curious if you see any place where efficiencies could be obtained.
Thank you for that question. Although I am a new chief in this position, I've been here for 32 years with the City of Groton Police Department. I started in 1989 after I got out of the Marines. So I've been here for quite some time. We have worked and discussed with LJ Fasaro, Chief Fasaro, about getting things to work together. One thing that we have gone onto together is the state radio system. So now we have interoperability between the state radio, between the departments on the state radio system, where we can not only talk to the town, but we can talk to Stonington PD, we can talk to the state police, and numerous other police departments to include DEP and Norwich and several others. So there is interoperability in that area. The dispatch center, we have worked together in the dispatch center as in the 911 system. And if you were to run a business or if you have an office in my police department, if somebody comes into my police department, I want them to speak to a person. If they have questions, if they need assistance, and they call our dispatch center or the police department, I do not want them answering to a pre-recorded message. I want them talking to a person that totally knows everything about our city, where our residents live, the addresses, and so forth. So although we have worked together on many things, we help each other out in calls. When we need assistance, the town comes in to help us. When the town needs assistance, our officers go and we help them. Same with Groton Long Point. They do the same with Groton Town, and if we need them, we can call them. So there's a lot of interoperability that we have together. If that answers your...
Can I just mention that at Avery Point, Yukon, the dispatch actually comes from stores. So when you call the police at Avery Point, you get the stores police, and there's still police on Avery Point. When you go there, you can still access a human. But it's just a cost savings that Yukon has done so that there can be greater efficiencies in that service.
You are correct, ma'am. Representative Ebden. The dispatch does go out from Avery, Yukon up in stores, but Yukon Avery Point is not manned 24 hours a day. There are no, am I correct in that, Captain? They have no...
You're incorrect, because I work there.
Okay.
There's always police there.
All right, I'm sorry, that's DEP. DEP doesn't have third shift. I apologize. You're correct.
Okay. Representative Gauthier.
Thank you. So I'm looking at the salaries and wages here and the number of positions. Are any of these funded but vacant positions?
Right now, we are short 2 officers. Right now, we had 2 in the process. We've been in the hiring process probably for 4 years now, trying to get fully staffed. We have 1 in the academy, 1 that is just getting off to FTO program. So we are 2 short from being fully staffed right now, but we are in the process of hiring, just like Chief Fasaro is.
Right. And do you anticipate needing to add a social worker to your budget and to your staff? Is that required by the police accountability bill?
It's not required, I believe. They said it's a good option. What we have done in the past and what we still do is we contract with the state of Connecticut, the mobile outreach program. When we need a social worker or somebody that comes in, we can call them 24 hours, and they will provide somebody when they can get them. But they also come in, I believe it's once a week or once every 2 weeks, and we have an ongoing list of people that they may want to contact and call. So we have been getting around it for that way.
Hold on a second. I want to add to that. I've also talked to Town Manager Burt, and for the amount of times that I think we may need them, if I need to, I can always reach out to the town for those 1 or 2 times in order to supplement what we're already doing.
Thank you. So I don't have the same cost breakdowns for your department as we did for the town as far as like overtime and shift premiums go. Could you speak a little bit more specifically about where that 5.9% increase is coming from? Is that raises? Is that
All right. So
For point of clarification, overtime is on page 60.
Sure, but just overtime, right? It's not the same breakdown. Okay, yep, all right, I missed that. But anyways, could you please speak a little bit more specifically to that 5.9% increase?
A large portion of that, like we said, is that it's a fully loaded budget. So my budget is full disclosure of all costs. There's nothing in other departments. So a large percent of that is the collective bargaining agreement, pay raises, and we also had the pension cost. Apparently it was underfunded last year by approximately $100,000. So we're making up for that as well. We also have, that was 18% increase. We also had a 5% increase on health insurance and a roughly a 12% increase in general insurance, which is related to the law enforcement insurance policy.
Also, contractually, we have an average of about 2.5% increase on the union contracted wages.
Thank you. So, thank you all, just for everything you do for the city, and obviously it's beautifully run. So this next point has nothing to do with the service or my gratitude for the police, but I am noting there's no similar special act regarding the payment of monies to the city for its police. And if the city is raising a mill and is paying for half of its police already, I'm going to move the number of $0 for this budget. If we're being asked as a body to find savings and the city of Groton has the ability to raise its own monies for this department and there is no state obligation for us to cover these monies, I think that this would be a significant and pretty straightforward way to find that savings.
Okay. Representative Jacome.
So this is probably for Town Manager Burt. I'm worried if this would open us up for some sort of litigation of some sort.
Town Manager, do you want to address that question?
Was that seconded?
It was seconded by Frickman, or by Thomas, I'm sorry. Town Manager, do you want to address the question? Okay. Are there any other comments? Representative Wells.
I won't take long. Well, it's understandable that you help each other out, and if chasing some villain and he's headed to the city, you'll pitch in, or Groton will keep following him. But I'm wondering if there's any thought to consolidating or assisting in things like purchasing equipment and supplies.
That's a good question.
I'm sorry. Point of order. We're talking about this budget, so maybe at another date we could discuss things about finding efficiencies.
I think we've already addressed the issue of efficiencies. Are there any other points that you'd like to make regarding ways to combine services?
We already interact quite well with each other. We all share everything. As far as equipment goes, we have not gotten together. I have not talked to the town about getting together and purchasing the same items as far as equipment?
Well, many times the city and the town are part of the state consortium, so we're already buying at the lowest that we can get because we're in the same consortium. That's
Using the state bid.
using the state bid.
Representative Aubry?
I'm just wondering if you could give me a rough idea of how much things have increased in the city with the amount of new people that are now working in the city and the anticipated growth of both General Dynamics and Pfizer in the near future. I'm saying two things. I'll back it up. Do you have any idea this year, the last couple of years, how much more traffic do we have going through there, and how many more, problems do we have because of the fact that our population expands so much during the day?
Yes, ma'am. We are in, Representative Obey, I'm sorry. We are in constant, every week we have a meeting with Electric Boat to speak with them about their increased employment. I believe they're due to upgrade another 3,500 employees in the next couple of years, and they all come through the city of Groton. They all have to have parking areas. When I first got here in 1989, Mitchell Street had directional traffic lights on the street, so we'd have 3 lanes coming in and 1 lane coming out, and then after the shift change, you'd have 3 coming out and 1 going in to control the traffic. So as far as traffic is concerned and the amount of people coming in and the law enforcement responsibilities that we're going to have, we have sub-launches we're going to have. We're going to have traffic control down there. We used to have traffic control operators at the key intersections, so I imagine that is going to come back into effect with the large amount of employees coming in as well. Pfizer has been pretty steady. They are building 2 large projects in the near future to expand their campus as well. I do not have a number on how many employees they will be increasing, but it's going to be a very large amount coming up pretty soon, pretty shortly, next 3 years.
So whether you like it or not, we are the region's police force during the day. We go from about 9,000 people in the city of Groton to about 23,000 people due to Avery Point, Electric Boat, and Pfizer. Pfizer's building a big building now in the South Yard Assembly Building that is 700 feet long, 400 feet wide, 165 feet tall. That is so that they can build the new class of submarine called the Columbia class. They are anticipating an additional workforce population of around 3,000 people coming in the next couple of years. Now, these guys aren't criminals, but they add to the traffic flow, pedestrian traffic, vehicular traffic, and we do have issues associated with that. We also have Section 8 housing, so we have issues associated with that. If you cut us to 0, you still have to provide the police support. And so, and you can't do that. You can't do it. Chief Sorrow just said he's understaffed as it is. So I would urge you not to go to 0, but if you decide to do that, then I will have a discussion and decide which way we're going to take the town. But let me stop there, please.
Representative Thomas.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. A couple of questions, just maybe a little bit of background. I mean, I understand there is no special act that's requiring the payment, but how long has that been going on? And, just some general history on that would be interesting. But also, I'm curious to know how much funding for the special events that you mentioned, as far as like sub-launches and, Pfizer, how much money is coming from Pfizer, from the sub-base, from EB, in regards to those big-time events that occur? Is there any sort of like negotiation where there's a special boost of funding to help cover the extra requirements?
We are not supplemented in any way by Pfizer or Electric Boat for either, let's take Electric Boat, for example. Whenever there is a sub-launch, we have to shut down the road. We have to prepare for protesters, demonstrators, whatever. We have to control traffic. That is not supplemented by Electric Boat at all. There's information that the Vice President will be in town shortly. So that's another thing that we will have to shut down the roads for and control traffic, and that is not supplemented by the federal government at all. So every large event, the fireworks that are happening again this year, again, not supplemented in any way by any department or any other outside agency but our own.
Is there any mechanism that you know of that would allow for that supplement to occur, perhaps, to help defray some of the costs?
I am not aware of any, but I will certainly look into it. I'm sure somebody must have looked in it in the last several years.
I think
there's been
that'd be
32 that I know of that we haven't been supplemented by any outside agency for that.
Yeah, it just seems kind of incredible that these things happen so frequently, but, you know, I feel for you on that note. I don't think that's quite fair to the department or to the city or to the town that we host these big-time events because of the nature of those things being here. Yet there's no supplement for the extreme, increase of support that we have to provide. So I don't know, maybe that's something that we could all, work together on, is looking at, finding those mechanisms and those pathways.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Representative Weaver.
With all due respect, I appreciate everything you do, and what I clearly heard you say that before we came here tonight, that your budget went through 4 steps. The mayor, it was readjusted, the city council, the town council, and then it eventually went to the full RTM. If there was any concern about this budget, it should have been addressed before tonight. The fact of the matter is that I disagree with moving the amount to 0 because it's short-sighted. We just heard Monday that our tax office right now, we have back taxes that aren't being paid. The tax department doesn't have people to collect the back taxes, so I'm not sure where we're going to get money to fund this. It might be a consideration for the future budget, but in this budget, I would say that it would be drastically short-sighted to reduce the budget to 0, and I recommend the first number. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Representative Jacome.
No, I'm just going to say I'm a little baffled that the individual making this motion does not live in the city and is trying to cut our police department. So I will not be in favor of this, and I will support the original motion.
Representative Councilor Borderline.
Thank you so much. I think it's a little interesting. I am a little concerned by the remarks of the mayor of the city stating that Section 8 housing also brings on.
Councilor Borderline, do you have a question about the budget itself,
Yeah,
not about?
I do. He
Not,
stated,
no,
and I
please
think if you
don't
let me
make a
finish,
statement.
Moderator, if you let me finish, Moderator Ross.
Hold on,
I
we've
can
got a
state
point
my
of order.
point without
We have a point of order, please. Representative Merritt.
We have a motion on the floor. This is the RTM meeting.
We don't have a motion on the floor right now, and
No, we don't.
Councilor,
No.
hold on.
So my question is,
Hold on. Let me answer.
if
Councilor Bordelon, please let me answer the statement.
Sure.
So the councilor is an ex officio member, and she is able to make comments and ask a question.
Thank you.
She may ask a comment.
Moderator Ross.
Do you have a question?
My question is to the city mayor. What does he mean by Section 8 housing bringing on other costs?
It's included in all the costs.
I don't think that.
Do you want?
That's what he said.
No.
He stated that we also have Section 8 housing. I watched it in real time and then repeated time.
Okay.
That it brings on
Hold
other
on.
costs.
Let him answer the question.
I want to clarify.
Let him answer the question.
Thank you.
So what's your issue with the Section 8 housing? We have a Section 8 housing. What is your issue with that, Councilor Borderline?
City mayor, I did not say I had an issue. I'm responding to what you stated on the record that was recorded. You stated that Section 8 housing also brings on extra cost. And I'd like to know what that extra cost is.
I didn't say it brought on extra costs. What I said was we have Section 8 housing in the city of Groton, and sometimes there's additional enforcement that is required.
And I'd like to know what that additional enforcement and cost is. Thank you for clarifying.
I do not have that broken out. I do not intend to get into that with you tonight.
Okay.
I think that's a little, my point is that I think that's a little premature and singling out a section of housing.
There's another point of order.
Adding
What's your
extra-
point, please? What's your point, please? Representative Massett. Counselor Borderline, there's a point of order. One moment, please.
The rules.
I couldn't hear that. I'm on digital.
Okay, that's what I'm asking you. Hold on.
The RTM call for debate and decorum, not sarcasm.
Agreed. Counselor Borderline, have you finished asking your question?
Thank you for those responses. My intent is not sarcastic. It was stated that there's extra costs with
Okay.
Section 8 housing.
The
I was
question-
asking for clarifying questions as to what that cost was.
Okay,
And
the
that's not
mayor.
sarcastic. That's speaking on behalf of those constituents in that community.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you.
And yet nobody wants to speak now to what the cost that's incurred. And again, I
Thank
asked
you,
the
Counselor
city mayor,
Borderline.
what are those costs that are being incurred?
Counselor Borderline, thank you. Who's next?
Very suspect.
Counselor Gustafson.
Where's the town manager?
Hi, I just want to say I support the original number. I think it's kind of absurd at this point to cut it to zero with this short a notice. Can I make a motion to move the question?
Yes, you can.
Thank you.
Okay. Who's Counselor or Representative Merritt? All right. All in favor of moving the question, please raise your hand. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Norman, are you up or down? I'm down. Okay. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. 19 in person. Then we have Bailey, Frickman, Casper, Hanscom, Ivy, Guinipiero, sorry, Dean Shinbrook, Watson, Ray. So that's 9 additional. So we are at 28. All those opposed, please raise your hand. I have 1, 2.
State names.
I have Norman and Gauthier. I have Eben and Whitney. So I have 4.
Thomas as well.
And Thomas is 5. So that is
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
33.
There should be 33
and that is
altogether.
who we have. Okay, so we are moving the question. So the number on the floor is $0.
We'll do that. We'll do a vote, please.
We're going to do a roll call vote, please.
Point of information,
Yes.
I had my hand up before, and the moderator has the ability to allow people who wanted to speak before the question has been called to speak.
I'm moving the question. We're at $0. All those in favor of
We're going to do a
roll call vote, sorry.
Yes, no, or abstention. Adams?
Absolutely no.
Bailey?
No.
Burrell?
No.
Bright?
No.
Casper?
No.
Chase?
No.
Kopp?
No.
Dean Shinbrook?
No.
Eben?
No.
Frickman?
No.
Gardner?
No.
Gauthier?
Yes.
Guinipiero?
No.
Gustafson?
No.
Hanscom?
No.
Ivy?
Abstain.
Jacome? Massett?
No.
Merritt?
No.
Norman?
No.
Aubry?
No.
S. Powers?
No.
Pacino?
No.
Ray?
Representative Ray?
Representative
No.
Ray? Thank you.
No.
Thank you. Cimarero?
No.
Thomas?
Abstain.
V.C. Williams?
No.
Watson?
No.
Weaver?
No.
Wells?
No.
White?
No.
Whitney?
No.
And Rusk?
No. So that fails, and
30.
1 to 30 to 2. The next number on the floor is $2,845,568. All in favor, please raise your hand. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 in person, and Frickman, Eben, Bailey, Casper, Hanscom, Guampiero, Whitney, Ivy, Dean Shinbrot, Watson, and Ray. That is 11, so we're at 31. All those opposed? Representative Gauthier is 1. All those abstaining? Representative Thomas. So that passes in the amount of for 31 in favor, 1 opposed, and 1 abstaining. Thank you, Chief. And then,
Thank you, everyone.
thank you, Mayor.
Madam Moderator, thank you, RTM. I'll see you in a couple of minutes.
We are
Roads and
now at
highways.
10:28. At this point, I need a consensus whether or not you want to move forward or whether or not you would like to recess for the night. So if you would like to stay, please raise your hand. I have online, if you can raise your hand also if you want to stay. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 people who want to stay. All those who would like to go home. It's probably not how I should word that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, close, 21, 22. Okay. Any abstentions? Did I miss anybody? Okay, we are in recess.